Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
A2D Radio, Sports Hounds, BMW of Atlantic City Studios. I'm Rob Brankman. He's Brad Ryer. Frank the Tank Vesby on the ones and twos, producing the show as usual. Boy, a lot to get to. Remember in February and throughout the spring, we were the city of champions. Everything was hunky-dory in Philadelphia sports. Quite the opposite now. The Phillies are terrible. We'll get to that idiot Jake Arrieta in a jiff. The Eagles, Trump canceling the White House visit with the Eagles. But first and foremost, we couldn't talk about it last week. It was Memorial Day. Bryan Colangelo, the Sixers, Twittergate, whatever you want to call it, burner accounts, up to 5 burner accounts. Bryan Colangelo, I don't see any way he keeps his job. I don't think he will keep his job. But Scanzato Sports poll question of the night. Has your opinion of the process changed with this Bryan Colangelo Twitter burner account fiasco? My answer is yes.
My answer is no.
Your answer is no. My answer is yes because for the Sixers fans who don't like Bryan Colangelo, and I'm one of them, I don't think he's that great. I think his negatives outweigh his positives, especially from a player development standpoint and a player relation standpoint. But people who think that this fiasco is just going to go away after he's fired on Wednesday or Thursday or after the finals, they're sadly mistaken, because there's going to be litigation following it. There's going to be a wrongful termination suit because Bryan Colangelo is going to tell everyone that he had no idea about these accounts. You can't fire me. I had no idea about it. His wife's behind it. His wife's not behind it. There's still very little concrete truths about the whole fiasco. This is a black cloud over this franchise, and what was supposed to be the offseason where LeBron, Kawhi, Paul George, an unknown trade, something was going to happen where this process was going to be complete, and they were going to be going to championships. I don't see that happening now.
Why?
Because I don't think players are going to be part of the fiasco.
I think the players will want to play with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and they're going to want to have a chance to win a championship, and they're going to get paid. I don't think they really are going to care all that much about what Bryan Colangelo does or doesn't do. I think at this point, it's going to be more about the coach and whoever takes his place when they get rid of him. This is a team that is clearly one, maybe 2 players away from winning a championship. They're young. Any superstar player who has a chance to go to a team with this much young talent will go, especially if they're getting paid. I think it's all about the money.
This is going to be a black cloud over this franchise until basketball games start up again in October. You don't see that as being a huge problem?
No. I think that these guys, I think it's about the do re mi, and the more you try to tell me it's not about the money, I'm going to tell you it's always about the money.
Okay.
It's about the ability to make money and win championships. Whatever Colangelo does, he is not a player. He does not coach the team. Okay, to me that's the bottom line. They're going to give LeBron or George or whomever they try to get. They're going to give them a supermax contract and try to get somebody in here so they can win a championship. These guys are going to look at Philadelphia. They're going to see the fact that they have a very strong fan base. They have a very good young team that's loaded with talent. They have a good young coach who seems to be on top of his team, who's gone through his growing pains and is ready to take this team to the next level. Anybody who wouldn't want to play for this team and does that is just using it as an excuse. I mean, that's my opinion. I think if LeBron doesn't come, I don't think it's going to be because of Colangelo. I think it's going to be because he wants to play with Harden. As far as the other guys, same kind of thing. Nobody's going to go to a team like Los Angeles or the Knicks or some crappy team that has no chance to win when you can go to a team like Philadelphia and be a winner. Where are you going to go? Milwaukee? I know they got the Greek Freak, but they're not ready to win
Okay,
yet.
supporting it. Okay, what if this investigation, this law firm that they hired today, what if it comes out that Bryan Colangelo knew about all this and he was 100% culpable, knew about the burner accounts, used them to criticize players?
Then he's going to get. Then he's going to
Does
get
that
fired.
change your opinion?
No, he's going to get fired. They will bring somebody else in, and they will bring in the players that they need to win a championship. I don't think it's going to really matter all that much. It's not the owner that did it. It's a general manager.
Brings me to my next point. Where is Joshua Harris in all this?
Well, again,
Where is the ownership, the higher ups, the people higher than
the ownership should step in. I think they're taking their time because they want to make sure that they do it right.
They gotta go though. The draft's in like 2 weeks.
Okay, they'll take care of it. I
The
sincerely
Sixers have the
think-
10th pick. They have
Okay.
more money than God when it comes to the cap and potential free agents.
But most
This
of the free
couldn't have
agents-
happened at a worse time, I
But
guess
Rob,
is my
most
point.
Most of the free agents that are available are no-brainers. Okay? Kawhi Leonard, no-brainer. Paul George, no-brainer.
I think the only way
LeBron James, no-brainer. I mean, you bring them in if they want to come to Philly. You could be the GM and make those decisions.
Right, but
the
LeBron
draft
Ja-
pretty much is
LeBron
pretty
James has
simple,
said
too.
before in the past publicly that he'll never play for Bryan Colangelo
Well, he's probably going to get fired.
because of
so he's gonna get his
the
wish.
way he when he was in Toronto handled the Chris Bosh free agency situation,
So he'll probably
which we've talked about on this show a
he will
lot of
be-
times before in criticizing
that
Bryan Colangelo and the way he
will
handles
most
players.
He will most likely be gone. And as I said before, Rob, and nobody can convince me otherwise, okay? The old Giant general manager, George Young, said it, and I agree with him 100%. It's all about the money, number one. Number two, it is all about winning. Those are the only two things that matter to athletes. And it goes in that order. And if you can get both, then that's where you sign.
But
I mean, it's that simple.
The way I see it, and I understand, especially in the NBA, it's a talent-driven league. It's a money-driven league. All the contracts are 100% guaranteed. These guys are going to get $40 million, the Supermax deal, wherever they play, unless they choose not to take it, take a lesser deal to win or whatever you have you. But for me, it's just embarrassing.
Okay, well,
It's embarrassing. The only way I see a big-time player coming here now is if this is all a work somehow to get David Griffin, LeBron's boy from Cleveland who got fired by Dan Gilbert, that moron Dan Gilbert who just wants to go against the grain and make LeBron James unhappy.
Again.
Any chance he can get, which is why LeBron James 100% won't be on the Cavs next season. To get David Griffin in here and sign LeBron James. Now, if Colangelo resigns or gets fired and Griffin steps in, then the fix was in the whole time to get LeBron. And I'm totally for that because I don't think Colangelo is that good to begin with. It looks like he made a really poor draft pick, a draft pick in which he traded up for with a division rival in Markelle Fultz.
Well, listen, the jury is still out on that one because that was only his first year.
I understand, but I can only judge what I've seen so far, and I haven't seen much from Fultz.
A lot of guys take 2 to 3 years, especially point guards, take a couple of years to really develop and become breakout type players.
But I mean, this guy lost a spot to T.J. McConnell. There's no way a number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft should be losing minutes to T.J. McConnell.
He should be starting.
That's complete nonsense.
He should be able to start in any team. I agree with you, but you know what?
Even if you don't start, you don't have to start. You got to play. You just need a 7-8 man rotation to win the.
If you're the first pick in the NBA draft, you should be playing on a.
You're preaching to the choir there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the Facebook board. Happy Monday, fellas. My opinion hasn't changed with this. He had nothing to do with the process. His placement is a black mark on the league, if anything, who poked their grubby noses in where it didn't belong. That's from Chromo. A lot of good points there by Chromo, because the only reason the Colangelos are even in Philadelphia, if you remember, the league forced them to hire his father, Jerry Colangelo, to help Hinkie, because Hinkie was losing on purpose. He was losing professional sports on purpose to build assets, which he did very well. But the league, Adam Silver and the league had enough, forced Jerry Colangelo on the franchise, and now Bryan Colangelo is the GM because Hinkie said, I don't want to work with these clowns. Which Jerry Colangelo is not a clown. If he was calling the shots, I'd have a whole different
Jerry
opinion.
Colangelo was an exceptional GM.
Chromo is right, which I overlooked. The only reason the Colangelos are even in Philadelphia is because it was a league-mandated hire, and the league should not be telling the Philadelphia 76ers how to handle their day-to-day business.
At this point, the Sixers are well within their right to do whatever they feel is best for their team. If they feel
they've always been. I don't care if you're the Suns and you win 10 games a year, or you're the Lakers and you got Showtime and a great history, or you have LeBron James and you're the Golden State Warriors and you're in the NBA Finals. The league shouldn't dictate day-to-day operations, hiring, firings in teams' front office. So in that sense, Chromo is absolutely right. The Colangelos shouldn't even be in the city of Philadelphia, but they are, and now there's a black cloud hanging over the franchise in the most important offseason, maybe in team history.
Well, as I said, Rob, I think that at this point, I don't think you guys should worry about it as much as you're worrying about it. I think in the end,
I seem to be in the minority worrying about it.
Yeah, I think in the end, I think that it's all going to work itself out. If the guy did something stupid, he's going to get fired. The Sixers will bring in who they feel is appropriate, so they can try to get LeBron, or if LeBron decides to go to Houston, then they'll go out and we'll get another big star. I just think that that's what's going to happen. And again, it's all about the money and it's all about winning.
If LeBron doesn't come to the Sixers, I'll be so crushed I might just boycott the NBA and watch college basketball. I'll be crushed. What's up, Frank?
That'd be fun to watch college basketball instead of the NBA. Everybody's getting ready for Warriors Cavs 5. So
yeah, well, I mean, if LeBron splits, which he's going to,
right? He's gonna leave Cleveland regardless.
It'll be LeBron versus the Warriors 5,
yeah,
which is basically what it's been.
And
3
LeBron
years
goes to the finals 9. So
yeah, exactly. Boston Celtics next year. Just if you want to get into the NBA, the Boston Celtics are going to be a formidable team next year.
I mean, obviously, they're a formidable team this year without those.
They're going to be without those guys.
Yeah.
Look at how close they came.
Right.
And that was without Kyrie and Hayward.
And the Sixers are chasing the Celtics as they were in the playoffs, without Kyrie and Gordon Hayward, which
is scary right now.
Yeah.
The Celtics are that good.
Which is even more disappointing that this has to come out now. I don't know what's going on. I'm not buying the whole wife thing. I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me.
It's always easy to blame
unless him and his wife has some type of toxic relationship that she wants to see him fail.
All right.
We've seen IP addresses and phone numbers and accounts faked all the time.
And I know we've been talking about it before the show about the burner accounts and everything, but I know, Brad, I know you usually do the YouTube comments, but your computer's a little bit off, so I'm going to help you out over here.
Would you drop it?
Somebody dropped
it.
I'm not going to mention any names, but because that person would.
Between us two, Gene, I got to be on my phone because I tried to do an update at 6:30. It's still not done. And Brad dropped his computer.
I'm gonna flip flop over here. So between the Facebook and the YouTube comments, if you need the help. So over on the YouTube comments,
I got the Facebook ones right here.
All right, that's good.
Yeah,
so
unfortunately, I mean, should I even keep this open?
I mean, it should get fixed at this point because the screen looks horribly damaged right now.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna get it fixed during the week. But
it'll be a good couple $100.
Yeah.
But over on YouTube, we have SJM86. Colangelo is done, whether it was him or his wife. He apparently had knowledge it was his wife. He also says that he is not a Colangelo fan. However, he hasn't been as bad as advertised. He made savvy moves, such as picking up Marco Bellinelli and Ersan Ilyasova. Problem is the lack of professional and the HIPAA violation regarding Jahlil Okafor. Sixers will be a sought-after landing spot for any potential free agent and new GM. Brett Brown could be the GM. Players love him.
I mean, no
No,
on
he's not
all
gonna be-
counts with Brett Brown being
Brett
a
Brown's not
GM
gonna be
slash
the
coach.
GM. That's not
I
going
just-
That's a hard no from me. I mean,
It would be tempting, but I'm taking a
yeah, but he
slight
got
hard pass from
He
me.
got totally pantsed by Brad Stevens in the playoffs.
Right.
He needs to worry about coaching and making inbounds plays that work and half-court sets that work, not picking the players and doing that stuff. But
Yeah,
everything else I
Yeah.
pretty much agree with. I do think Colangelo does get a bad rap. I'm not
Yeah.
the biggest fan of him, but Ilyasova and Bellinelli, they wouldn't have
Right.
I mean, it's hard to say. They did what they were supposed to.
Yeah,
as far
they
as
did what they needed to
expectation.
do to actually
but-
make the team competitive again.
They wouldn't have won, 19 games in a row
Yeah,
at the end of the
the
year there
streak.
to jet up to the 3 seed
Right.
without Bellinelli and Ilyasova.
But yeah, I mean so far the only move that I was not a big fan of. I mean, it probably wouldn't backfire on us in the long run, but the Nerlens Noel trade definitely one of the more surprising moves because everybody was expecting, they're going to trade Ja, and then out of nowhere, Nerlens Noel is a Dallas Maverick and possibly a free agent at the end of this year. But
Well, if you want him back so badly, he's
right.
a free agent. You can get him back.
Sign him.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with him, though?
Yeah, that's the thing because you
Comes off the bench and plays defense.
He comes
Wouldn't
off
be
the
worst
bench.
signing in the world.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the worst signing, but I mean, I love Noel in a Sixers uniform. I was very skeptical when we traded for him in 14, which
Do you
basically
really need him,
which was
though?
basically the first move of the process. But yeah, that was one of those moves that really surprised me. I thought he was going to be one of those pieces of the process going into the future, but I mean, we'll see what happens in the offseason if they can find a way to pick him up for a relatively affordable deal. If once all the
He's
money
not gonna
spent on
make-
LeBron,
he's not going to make any money.
he's not going to make a lot of money, but
He was a train wreck on the Mavs.
yeah,
He was
Did not
benched
fit.
I
on
could
a
see
on a
it. I
team
could
with
see
a
him-
top 5 pick.
I could see him on Brooklyn.
right.
That would
that-
fit.
that would
Rob
be-
Povia
that'd be
checks
about
in.
where you
Sam
end up.
developed the process, not this catfish. I
Right.
mean, but like it or not, he's been in charge of the process for
3 years.
Yeah, two and a half, 3.
2.5,
Yeah,
3
2.5,
years.
3 years. Yeah,
So, yeah, Hinkie started it, but
Yeah.
Hinkie's not finished yet.
Hinkie
Also,
didn't finish yet.
Hinkie resigned.
Right.
Hinkie was not
The
fired.
13-page
Hinkie-
resignation letter
right.
from Sam
Hinkie
Hinkie.
quit. He didn't want to see the process finished.
Right.
He decided to take his ball and go home.
Yep.
Now we're stuck with Colangelo. So, like I said, whether you like Colangelo or not,
Right.
this is still it's a huge black cloud,
Yeah.
the black eye for
Absolutely.
the franchise. I don't like it one bit heading into the offseason. I mean, you have the 10th pick and all this cap space.
Yeah,
But
it's the
do you
10th
honestly
pick, cap
think-
space. You also have a
honestly think
26th
it's going to make a
pick.
difference, though?
I
In the
mean,
long run,
unless
I mean,
unless Griffin
Right.
comes in and LeBron signs
Yeah.
within minutes of being a free agent.
Right.
That's the only way that this is going to be okay. That's the only way you get a big-time free agent in Philly this summer, the way I see it.
oh, I don't know.
Colangelo out, Griffin in,
Right.
LeBron signs.
I think he's going to end up out anyway.
Paul
so
George may have been thinking about the Sixers, and they might have had him
I still think he's
before
going
this,
to the Lakers.
but he's going to the Lakers now.
Yeah, I think he's going to the Lakers.
Yeah.
He
Paul
seems to
George will be a
wanna-
Laker.
Paul George is not worried about winning. He wants
Right.
to play in Los Angeles, and he wants to be an actor and
Right.
get all his endorsements. He's
But
not a win first.
Now
kinda
that
guy.
you're out on free agents, if you want to make an impact move, you have to trade.
Right.
So you have to give up assets that the process accumulated
but you've
Yeah.
got
instead of just plucking a free agent off the free agent
Right.
tree and just inserting him in the
but
lineup.
Rod,
And
you've
even if
got
we-
All
enough-
it costs you is
Yeah.
money.
You've got enough, but the thing is, you've got the pieces to make a move. I mean, that's 3/4 of the battle with making trades in the NBA is to actually be able to have the pieces to make a move like that. To get a guy like to get a guy like the guy on San Antonio. That's Kawhi Leonard. That would be that they have
Right.
the pieces to do that. They have the pieces to make a trade to get almost any significant player
Yeah.
they want. I mean, They really do. I mean, there's a few guys around the league that are untradeable, but
Right.
that obviously are franchise players that aren't going anywhere. But I mean, they have the ability to do that. There aren't very many teams that have the ability to make those kind of trades. They do.
Right. Chromo.
Maybe the Bucks have some ability to make those kind of moves, and maybe
Right.
Minnesota does. But other than that, I mean, who really wants to play in Milwaukee or Minnesota, though?
Right. I mean,
they're not big.
I mean, Minnesota's it's on the rise team. They have a good young core in Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. That's that good 1-2 punch. They got a
Wiggins
Jimmy
horrible
Butler
last season.
Yeah, Wiggins.
But they got Butler,
man.
don't they?
Yeah, Jimmy Butler. Yeah.
He regressed with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
As
They're up there. I think it was just gelling together. I think that's what held them back a little bit. But that team is going to be on the rise. That's something one of those teams to look at in the next couple years.
Milwaukee is going to get a
Same
second
thing with
wheel.
Milwaukee. Yeah.
Milwaukee will get a second wheel to go with the Greek Freak.
With
and they're going to be
Antetokounmpo, yeah.
Chromo checking back in. I'd be pretty sad too, Rob. It makes too much sense for him to come here. That's in reference to me being sad if LeBron James doesn't come to Philadelphia. Chromo, his wife/sister, is the scapegoat. I'm sure that's Mrs. Colangelo and Mr. Colangelo's sister. I mean,
his sister wife.
Sister wife.
Sister wives.
Yeah, I mean,
on HD Radio.
Like, I'm not. I think this is some tech nerd that liked Hinkie, was a big process believer, that hates Colangelo, hates all the moves he's doing, and is just like all hinkied up, just tech nerding away on Twitter, and that's what that's what I hope it is. But either way, it's unfortunate because even if that's the case, he's done here. He can't recover.
Yeah, I agree.
They can't recover from a PR standpoint. I don't know how the players would react to him still being the general manager, being around the team every day.
Yeah, I would be uncomfortable being around Colangelo.
They're going to
no one's going to want to talk to him. Everyone's going to be biting their tongue. Everyone's going to be scared to mess up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if they even bust balls with Colangelo about the burner account thing.
Is he going to fine me? Is he going to trade me?
Is he going to fine me, trade me, release me, suspend me? Like, I mean, I would just be as worried on this entire situation.
Yeah, what are you supposed to say to the guy?
Yeah. Like, hey, that would be it.
Yeah.
That would be it. Just saying, hey, and walk away.
Hello, sir. Goodbye, sir.
Yeah.
They're not going to be calling him Mr. Twitter.
Right. Or Eric Jr.
Eric Jr., whoever that is.
Yeah,
Chromo, the obvious trade to move up for Fultz as well. I think Fultz can turn it around, but Tatum is the real deal.
Well, that was the thing. I know a lot of people in the Sixers group were venting their frustrations with how unproductive Fultz was, but looking at it, it was known.
I thought it was a good pick.
It was a good pick, and everybody knew, like, leading up to this draft, the Celtics were going to draft Tatum. It was a known fact that whether it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Tatum was going to be drafted to the Celtics.
My take on that draft was I wanted to stay at 3. I thought it was really stupid to trade with the Celtics, your arch rival. I think that's a bad idea. Yeah. Anyway, I remember the Eagles traded with the Cowboys the one year in the draft. It was many years ago.
Right.
They traded their first-round pick when they were good in the Andy Reid. And I just shook my head.
Was that the Kevin Cobb draft? If I remember correctly?
I think it was.
I
think you're right about that. I would have to look it up to be exactly sure.
Kevin Cobb was one heck of a bust.
He really never got a chance because he got hurt in his first start, and then Vic came in, and that was that.
Then Michael Vick happened,
Yeah, but he had his chance in Arizona.
But I was getting back to that draft. I was a Dennis Smith Jr.
It was the Kevin Cobb. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They were 26, traded the pick to the Cowboys, drafted Anthony Spencer, linebacker from Purdue.
Anthony Spencer.
Anthony Spencer was a good player.
He was okay.
And got Cobb with the 36th.
But I think trading with a division rival within your division like that is stupid. It's stupid. If you want to trade with the Mavericks or the Lakers or someone out west or even someone in the East that's the Hawks or the Magic or something, that's fine. You don't trade with your division. I think that would be a number. Anytime, if I were a GM, whether any of the 4 major sports, I wouldn't answer the phone if someone in my division wanted to trade.
And take a look at the last time the Celtics traded with an arch rival with the Brooklyn Nets. They basically pulled off the train heist of the century. Now the Celtics are a contender, and the Nets are like irrelevant now. It's insane.
It was so bad of a trade.
Now. Right.
It's going to ruin them for like 15 years.
Yeah. And they're still ruined, and they still haven't had a lottery pick yet.
No,
it's insane.
Not till after next season.
Yeah, not till after.
Because the Cavs have their pick.
The Cavs
this year.
have the pick, yeah.
But anyway, getting back to Fultz, I was a big Dennis Smith Jr. guy. I watch a lot of college basketball. I was a big fan of him as the combo guard that would have complemented Ben Simmons the best. But they went with Fultz was number 2. I was way off on Jason Tatum. I was a Josh Jackson guy before I was a Jason Tatum guy, so I was off there. Like I said, these guys are still young.
And then you have the Lonzo Ball minority. That was
but I didn't want him not because he's a bad player, just because I don't want that circus. I don't want that circus.
Yeah, if you get Lonzo, you get the entire family circus of.
And then anyone who said, they should have just taken Donovan Mitchell at 3 is just a stone full of shit.
Right. Even like
he went 12th, 11th, something like that.
Yeah, he went somewhere in that. I know he was a
lottery pick, but he was
a lot. I think he was 10th or something. Let's figure it out.
He ended up having one heck of a season in
Donovan
Utah, though.
Mitchell, 13th.
13th, so barely in the lottery.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're not taking Donovan Mitchell at 3,
right?
Unless you have a crystal ball that can tell the future.
Yeah, that would be something.
Yeah.
If someone does, they should definitely be the new Sixers GM and pick at 10 and whatever 26 it is.
No, actually, they should go to.
And we got some more comments over in YouTube. SJM saying that he does not want Kawhi. Something weird went down with him and Coach Pop does not trust him at all. He was healthy and chose not to play. Kawhi is a good two-way player, but it'll take a lot to land him. Bob Brinkman. Sixers should move up and get Bagley. They don't need bodies, just a few pieces to get rid of Colangelo. SJM also
I love
replies.
Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, SJM also agrees. He loves Bagley and Michael Porter. And SJM says, give Fultz a chance. Shit happens. He could turn around similarly to Aguilar.
That could happen.
Could happen.
Dion Brown's checking in. Dion's late. That's a demerit for Dion. We'll still let him listen, though.
Boy,
He'll catch up. He'll catch up. He'll catch up and
hey,
be
Dion, he said it, not me.
Strong contributor to the show, as always, Dion. I love Dion.
Lots of things.
But, all right, let's shift.
And he also talks about SJM talking about trading with a rival isn't the worst. Ask Washington how the Donovan McNabb trade went.
I mean, obviously, you can look at all the trades, and there's an exception to the rule. But
Speaking of trades, okay, and I want to throw something past you guys.
What?
Okay, and I want to go to baseball for a minute.
Go ahead.
Because in the New York scene, there has been a lot of speculation between the Yankees and the Mets for one Jake DeGrom.
I talked about this last week. It makes perfect sense.
I mean, it's getting to a point in New York where this is all Yankee and Met fans are talking about is Jake DeGrom to the Yankees. The Mets have to get back Gleyber Torres.
Oh, that would be a hard pass on the. I wouldn't give up.
The Yankees are not going to give up Gleyber Torres.
No.
So if it comes
unless maybe if it's a Manny Machado trade, maybe.
Yeah, but they could sign him next year for nothing.
No, you can cut the bullshit and just get him.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I'm just saying, but they don't need to get rid of anybody to get Manny Machado. The Yankees are solid at third base and they're solid at shortstop. Why do they need a big time pitcher? DeGrom
Andahar is good, but they could use
Andujar's not hurting him. He's got 26 doubles, Rob.
I understand.
That's a lot.
We're talking about Manny Machado.
No, I know, but you could get him next year if you really wanted to. But if you get Manny Machado, you'd end up having to get rid of who? What would a Manny Machado trade look like?
I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of the Yankees farm system like you do.
You'd have to get
Chance Adams, Justice Sheffield. These are just the guys that I know. I know they have a flamethrower, Albert Abreu, in the minors.
Yeah, they also like Clint Frazier.
Clint Frazier.
You're gonna have to get rid of
Clint Frazier's a perfect guy to trade because
Clint
he's
Frazier
blocked.
is going to get.
He's blocked all the way around everywhere.
Yeah, Florial.
Florial would keep because he's a center fielder.
Yeah, but are they going to try? The question is, are they going to try to sign Bryce Harper? See, I think they might go
no,
after.
because I hope the Phillies are trying to sign Bryce Harper.
I think the Yankees will go after Harper before they go after Machado. I just think that
I think the Phillies should sign both. I'm going to get to the Phillies in a second. I'm going to gather my thoughts for a second because Jake Arrieta really pissed me off over the weekend. Really pissed me off.
Why are you so angry that he dissed some of his teammates?
Number one,
I think he's showing leadership.
that's not leadership. That's that's short-sighted thinking. That's not leadership what he did. Absolutely not. You want to call out the manager and the GM, that's perfectly fine. I think they're both morons. That's fine. That doesn't believe. There's absolutely no way a starting pitcher who pitches every fifth day, plays once a week basically, should be calling out the everyday 8. That's unacceptable. He does not play enough for him to justify that.
Are you saying that he's more like a David Wells and not a CC Sabathia
It's like
kind of thing?
I play golf a lot.
David Wells used to do that because David Wells would always he'd call guys out right in the field. He'd be pointing guys
and that's wrong.
staring them down.
I would never have that on my team.
Well, that's
There's
why they kept
absolutely
trading
no way a starting pitcher who plays once a week and makes the most money by far on the team. Maybe not by far. Carlos Santana with $20 million might be technically the highest paid player on the team. But you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
Should be calling out the everyday 8. Not to mention, he's calling out Scott Kingery by name. Scott Kingery probably hasn't played shortstop since high school. He played nothing but second base in A-ball, high A-ball, double A, triple A. Has played nothing but second base. And now he's in the majors asking to be a super utility man. He's basically the everyday shortstop now. That's a demanding position. And okay,
very demanding.
Okay, he made a mistake. He should have thrown the ball to second when he threw it to first, and I forget if they got the guy out or not.
Right.
A minor mental mistake.
That's going to happen though. That's just part. He's a rookie.
And
has anybody forgotten the fact that this guy's a rookie?
And he's been set up to fail by the moron of a manager and the moron of a general manager.
Yeah.
If you had plans to use him as a utility man, why wouldn't you let him play shortstop in A-ball, in double A? Why wouldn't you work him out?
They are not a well-run.
Even in his time in the big league camp in spring training, very rarely did he ever move off of second base.
See, you're right. You're right. Because I'm thinking about.
And you give him the obnoxious contract, which I think I'm the only one in the whole media market of Philadelphia that said that was a bad idea. A terrible idea, giving him that much money with zero major league experience.
Oh, we're talking about the
Kingery deal
yeah.
for the season.
All right, so
he did say that. Rob, to make your point stronger.
And number two
is also let's look at in the Bronx, Torres, okay? Gleyber Torres. Last year the Yankees played him 2 games a week at short, 2 games a week at second, and 3 games a week at third.
And this is why the Yankees have 27 world championships and the Phillies have 2.
Because you know what? They weren't sure what they had. They weren't sure where he was going to play, but they wanted to be ready because his bat was ready. They wanted him to be able to play all 3 positions, and that's what the Phillies did not do with Kingery, and it's coming back to bite them now.
All right, so SJM86 talking about the Jake Arrieta, Scott Kingery thing. He says, pitchers never call outfielders, and fielders never call out pitchers. All Kingery had to say was, yo, home slice. You could have located that pitch better off that 3-run dinger in 8 hits.
SJM, thank you. A perfect segue into my next point.
He's got a point.
Wow, what a great segue!
As to why Jake Arrieta's comments were totally out of line and unacceptable.
So you think
this
they
guy,
want leadership, huh?
This guy is not Max Scherzer. This guy is not Roy Halladay. This guy is not Cliff Lee. Any pitcher you want to trot out there. Good pitchers don't give up 5 runs in an inning. Players that earn the right to call out teammates don't give up 5 runs in an inning to an extremely average San Francisco Giants team.
Well, I would
it's
say
like in
I would
golf.
say they're like a little below average, actually. They're not very
They're
good.
very average. Average
Yeah.
might be
You're
generous.
you're giving them the benefit
But
of the doubt.
it's like in golf when you're playing with your friend who's struggling to break 100 and he's cursing after every shot and throwing his clubs. You just look at him and say, yo, bro, you're not good enough to get angry. You're not
Yeah.
on the PGA Tour. You're not good
Yeah,
enough,
pretty
Chief.
much. Pretty much.
He is not good enough to be doing that. This is his first year on the team. He didn't go to spring training. He signed late. He wasn't with the team for the first 2-3 weeks of the season. He has absolutely no stake in the development of this young core. Now, if you remember back in 2008, Chase Utley was the guy who would get on players and call people out and whatnot. He was the kind of the fiery leader.
Yes, he was.
Never, ever did he ever do it to the reporters after the game. And never did he ever criticize a starting pitcher. He gave up 5 runs in an inning yesterday, Jake Arrieta.
Look, that does happen to pitchers sometimes.
And like I said,
I mean, nobody's perfect, but Jake Arrieta, now that you're putting it that way, yeah, maybe he should shut up, because I do remember David Wells when he was with the Yankees, how he used to stomp on the mound when somebody made an error and point at him and stare them down, and the Yankees ended up trading him.
And
the
if I
next
was a
year.
position
That was
player,
that was after '98 when he pitched the perfect game. They traded him and got Roger Clemens.
Yeah.
Now I don't think they would have even
Wayne
thought about that.
Wayne was drunk or whatever.
Yeah. And David
If that
Wells
fat
was still
slob
great.
David Wells called me out as a position player, I'd walk over the mound and slap him right in the face, right in front of 60,000 fans in the middle of Yankee Stadium.
Well, he supposedly that did happen, but not on the field. That happened a lot in the clubhouse.
It should have.
He was fighting with
Because
a lot of players.
like Jake Arrieta,
Yeah.
I mean David Wells, he's an okay pitcher. He's from a skills, he's unprofessional with the way he did that stuff. I
and he
vaguely
was-
remember that.
He was impossible. And when he would get angry,
He's not good enough to do that.
When he would get angry, he'd throw one right down the middle just to show everybody up. I mean, that was the kind of crap that David Wells did. And you know what? You're right. It's not productive for a team. Because
But
I don't
let's
think
say-
Arrieta is respected that much in the Philly clubhouse that he could get away with that. Like,
if he was, he certainly isn't anymore,
No,
or
see,
shouldn't be.
if CC Sabathia did that with the Yankees, and he will call guys out on occasion in the clubhouse, he will call them out. But he's also been on the team for 10 years.
A lot of years, and he's gonna
Won a
be in
championship.
Cooperstown one day
Yeah,
as well.
and he's also probably the most popular player on the team, and he's very highly respected. And if he calls you out, he's also big. A big guy too.
Correct me
so-
if I'm wrong, but
yeah.
at one time, CC Sabathia was the best pitcher in the majors.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about ever the best pitcher in the majors, but he was
He
was a top
that
pitcher.
year.
He was a
That
top
year.
five.
That year, the Phillies beat him in the division
2009?
series. I think it was 2008. No, he was on the Brewers, not the Yankees.
Right. Oh God, when he went
When
to
he
the
was
National League
cooking.
that year, yeah.
Where he almost won the National League MVP and Cy Young,
Yeah, well, he
playing in
pitched-
the National League
what did he-
since July 31st
Yeah,
to
what
the
did
end
he-
of the season.
What was he pitching every 3 days? Pitching on 2 days rest for
Because he was a
month straight?
horse.
And we got our first score of the game in Game 4 of the Stanley Cup. Washington gets the first goal.
Oh
with
boy.
Look at them.
And
That's
who
it. That's
scored the goal? TJ Oshie with the goal, assisted by Evgeny Kuznetsov and Nicholas Backstrom.
All right,
Wow.
Jose Colon, what up, Hounds? What up, Jose? Deion Brown, I believe Fultz will come back ready this year. It remains to be seen, but I believe someone had a problem later having a full NBA life under his belt, hopefully.
I wouldn't count out Fultz
Deion,
yet. That's
it's so hard not to, but it's easy to count him out, I should say, but you're right. You're right. You can't.
You can't count him out. That's
It's
just
like when
not
I was
fair.
listening to AM and the PM the one Wednesday. I compared it to, remember it was like 92 or 93 where it was either Rick Meyer or Drew Bledsoe at the
Yes,
top of the
yeah.
Rick
draft.
Meyer, wow.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Woo!
And Rick Meyer got picked by the Seahawks, and he dazzled in his rookie year, and Drew Bledsoe was just okay, and everybody killed
Drew Bledsoe. The
Everyone
Patriots.
killed Robert Kraft and the Patriots.
And
Maybe Kraft wasn't even the owner
no,
yet.
Parcells was the one who picked him.
Parcells. Everyone roasted him. How can you pick this guy? And then you looked at it 3 years later, and the Patriots are playing in the Super Bowl, and Rick Meyer is bagging groceries somewhere.
Yeah,
Bagging
exactly.
groceries somewhere.
Exactly.
So you're
Well, that was coaching too. A lot of that was coaching. Cause
top-tier talent overcomes coaching. Do you think LeBron wouldn't be the best player?
No. Bill Parcells was a great coach. I think
LeBron
he
James
really
probably
helped.
has the worst coach in
had-
the history of the NBA
But
Finals, and
when
he's
Drew
still
Bledsoe,
the best.
when Drew Bledsoe first came into the league, he was a prima donna. He was a big baby. He didn't want to work out, and Parcells benched him for a couple of preseason games, and then he made the famous comment, "Is she ready yet?" to the owner. and
Which
after
is
that,
classic Parcells.
well, yes, he said, "Is she ready?" And you know what? After that, Bledsoe got the message, and he became a pretty good quarterback with New England. You know, then he went to Dallas and destroyed Dallas because he was terrible. But that's a conversation for another time. But
well,
yeah.
whatever. That guy on the Jets laid him out and like collapsed his lung or whatever,
Yeah.
and then Tom Brady
Yeah.
stepped in, and that was
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And you know what? And basically, the way Tony Romo got to quarterback was it was against the Giants, and I think it was Strahan put a licking on Bledsoe, and Bledsoe couldn't get up, and in came Tony Romo, and Tony Romo never looked back after that.
Not the fleetest of foot there,
No.
Mr.
Yeah,
Bledsoe.
I remember that. Jeez.
I don't remember it being Strahan that.
I thought it was Strahan
Wow.
gave him a shot, and he didn't get up. He
Like, I
mean, he
remember
got
that
up, but
entire
You know what?
season,
I was
though.
watching the NFL Network. Speaking of
He got clobbered. If it wasn't Strahan, it was one of those. It was
Yeah.
Human or one of those other crazy
One of
guys
them Giants
on
guys.
that line.
Speaking of your chotch idiot douchebag Giants, I was watching I was watching the NFL Network the other day, and a total guy I forgot about on the Giants who I couldn't stand.
Who was that?
Stand. Jason Sehorn. I could not stand
Jason
that.
Sehorn was a heck of a player until he messed up his knee. He
I
just had
hated
to
that
be-
guy.
he
He's
ha-
such a. Oh
was
my
so- he
god!
was a
he's
real-
s-
he
I
was a
hated
ball-
him
we liked him. He was a ball hawk. He was. You know what? He was
because
a
it was
real
one of
good
those
corner.
top 10 shows, and like his play where it was against the Eagles, ironically,
Oh, that play when he made the interception and he bobbled
where he
it
like
a couple of
he
times.
like hit it off and like did a somersault and picked it up and then
Yeah.
ran for a touchdown.
He was. You know
I
what,
hated
before he-
that guy.
before
I
he hurt
forgot
his
how much
knee-
I hated him until I saw it, and I just
You know, I
looked
still
at
have.
the TV.
I still have a Sehorn jersey in my closet.
Never wear that. You're not allowed in the door with that on. You can wear any jersey, any team, any New
Sehorn.
York team you want except that one.
You know who his wife was, right?
Somebody,
Rubarosa, I think, on L.A. Not on Law and Order. Remember
the original Law and Order.
The original Law and Order. Rubarosa, the one with the black hair. I think that was his wife.
Who, Jason?
Really?
Sehorn?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Couldn't stand him. One of these summers in the one of these summer shows in the dead
He,
period.
he killed. He
We're going
killed,
to talk about
He blew out his.
guys we
unfortunately, he
hate,
blew out his
guys
knee.
we couldn't stand, all that type of stuff.
Oh, Andre Waters, for example.
Yeah,
He was
Philly
never.
legend.
Yeah, he was never one of my.
Deion
favorites.
Brown has finally caught up and is answering the poll question. My thoughts of the process does not change. If and when there is a new GM, he should know who he has in the court in Embiid and Simmons and put those extra pieces around them to start. I agree with
Deion,
that.
I am with you 100%, and I just don't think it's really going to matter.
I want to get back to the Phillies here because we're having a lot of fun tonight on the show. We're jumping around, having a good time. Jump in, Facebook, YouTube.
By the way,
probably going
what
to be
has
taking
happened? What has
15
happened?
minutes. We're going over to YouTube. But
what
to
has
get to the
happened
Phillies,
Nick Pivetta, by the way, the last couple of starts. 'Cause he's
I mean,
been
Nick
getting
Pivetta is
smacked
Nick
around.
Pivetta.
He's been getting smacked around.
What do you
pretty
think?
silly.
He's going to have an under 3 ERA and a WHIP at 1 for 162 games?
No, but
He's
I
a
was
decent. He's a
expecting-
good player. He's got some promise, but
He's got a nice.
he's not a
curveball,
number
but-
2 starter.
No, he's a number 4.
Maybe a number 3. I mean,
He could be a 3. He could be a 3. I'll tell you, as I said before, and I'd say it again. We haven't mentioned too many possible trade bait candidates. I was talking about Jay Happ yesterday on Facebook. Not too many people were really thinking about it, but you know what? Jay Happ is 37 years old now. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the season.
He's
having
obviously
a very good year this year.
He's obviously going to be on a new team. But
he would
see,
be
the
a
funny
good
thing with the
acquisition.
Phillies is we both agreed that the Phillies' problem wasn't going to be offense.
Well, right now
It was going to be pitching.
Yes.
And they were going to have to add a starter.
Their pitching
Now
hasn't been that bad. They need a bopper
offensive infusion.
They needed a bopper in the middle of the lineup very badly
And
and quickly.
I mean, it's funny how we get killed for being haters, me and you, from the Philadelphia scene. I just speak my mind. I give you my God's honest opinion. I give you my whether it hurts your feelings or not. If I think a Philadelphia team is going to do good and win the championship, I'm going to tell you a Philadelphia team is going to do good and win the championship. If I think that a team is being overrated by the fans or isn't as good as other people think, I'm going to tell you. I didn't see 81 wins out of this Phillies team. I saw under 78 wins. And I saw fourth place, which they might finish third, especially if
the Mets are horrible. The Mets are going to
Cespedes is hurt, Syndergaard's on the DL.
Frazier's coming back, but he's been injured. But you know what? The Mets they look like such a mess right now. They look like a terrible team.
Well, that's why I had DeGrom. That's why I had DeGrom for the Yankees trade would make so much sense.
I can't wait to see the Yankees just pummel them this weekend.
But I see a 75-win team in the Phillies. I don't think they're as good as the Atlanta Braves. I think the Nationals are going to win the East.
Well, I've been saying that for a while.
We both said that preseason.
And you know what's amazing is Daniel Murphy still hasn't come back and played yet.
Adam Eaton's not even in. Eaton's not in.
And you know what?
Zimmerman hasn't done anything.
No.
They picked up Mark Reynolds off the scrap heap. He seems to hit a home run every night.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what he does. He'll strike out 100 times in 200 at bats, but he's going to hit a lot of home
Arrieta
runs.
needs to read the room a lot better when he criticizes this team.
You can't do
this
that.
Is not
You're
his
right.
Cubs team last year.
No, he's not.
This is not a World Series team.
No, he's
his
not,
criticism,
it's not his team yet.
His criticism of the analytics stuff with the shifts, because the Phillies they fluctuate a lot between the second to worst defensive team and the worst defensive team
right now
in the majors a lot.
Right now they are, I think with the shift they are -11.
They're by far the worst when they put a shift on.
They're -11 with the shift. The second worst team in the league is the Mets, who are -2.
Which that's a big gap.
Yeah, and the Mets are the second worst. So I mean, they're worst by a lot.
But this is like the Chip Kelly stuff. If you're going to come in and change the game and shift everyone around, you better win. Because the second you don't win, everyone's going to have their hands on their hips looking at you.
And you can't sit there and shift guys who can actually go the other way. It's dumb. It's dumb baseball. I'll tell you what, it cost the Houston Astros a game last Wednesday when the Yankees had the bases loaded in 2 outs. Gary Sanchez gets up and against Dallas Keuchel, and I know Keuchel doesn't throw that hard, but they went and they shifted all the guys onto the left side of the infield.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
What does Sanchez do? He hits an 88 hopper into right field and 2-run score, and we're all sitting there when they did that. We were saying, Keuchel doesn't
especially
throw.
runners on base. Like, what are these managers thinking?
And Keuchel doesn't throw hard enough anymore that he can throw a ball past Gary Sanchez, and then he throws a curveball.
Gary Sanchez is a potential 300 hitter. Am I right or wrong?
He is. He's not hitting.
I know he's not hitting quite well yet.
But Gary Sanchez is a good hitter, and he's going to come around. But I mean, if you throw a slow curve, and Gary Sanchez is waiting for a slow curve, and you shift, when the bases are loaded, he's not going to worry about hitting a home run. He's going to hit an 88 hopper to the second baseman, and there was no second baseman. The ball
and guess
rolled
what?
into right
He probably
field.
hit a double and got 2 RBIs.
It was a single, but he got 2 RBIs.
So he gets 2 ribeye steaks and some points in the average.
Exactly.
Frank and Brad, we have breaking news from the Philadelphia 76ers.
What's the news?
Former Pelicans head coach Monty Williams will join Brett Brown as his lead assistant next year.
Yeah, buddy. Woo! I mean, that's a good step.
That is a
But
good
we're
step
hoping for
because
the other
Monty-
news to happen.
No, see how I
Monty-
Oh, they're teasing us!
I
Stop
Monty-
teasing us, Sixers! Come on, Josh!
I teased big
Monty
time. That
Williams
tease
is
was
Tease
mine.
us!
That tease was mine.
That's a good.
That was not a Sixers tease. That was a.
Monty Williams is a very very smart basketball mind. That's not a bad move for them.
That's fine. But back to the Phillies. They're not good enough. They're not good enough to be this mad. Jake Arrieta is not good enough to be mad and calling out his teammates. The expectation, they're just not there.
Well,
Maybe next year. I mean,
they need the Phillies need.
it was poor intrapersonal skills on Jake Arrieta's part to do what he did.
The problem is he's not on the Cubs anymore. If that was his Cubs team, he might get some respect out of it because he's been there a while and he drove them to a pennant. And he was Mr. Cub when he was with the Cubs as a pitcher. But with the Phillies, he just got there. It's kind of hard.
Maybe not. I still have a huge. No matter who he is, how good the team is, I have a big problem with a starting pitcher calling out the everyday eight. The same way I would have a big problem with someone in the everyday eight calling out a relief pitcher or starting pitcher.
Well, let me ask you a question. And I'm going to agree with you, and I want to make a point, okay? And I'm going to give you a guy who, if anybody should be screaming about his starting eight, he has the right to do it and hasn't said one word this year, and that's Jake DeGrom. He of the 1.49 ERA, and he only has 4 wins this year. Okay? And how many, 1.49 and you only have 4 wins? That just shows you just how bad, how bad the Met bullpen is.
And we got another goal, this time of the – oh, never mind. 2 more goals. It is now 3-0 in favor
Wow.
of the
Oh, boy.
– let's figure out who scored the other goal.
So that is that if they win tonight, that's 3-1 in favor of the Caps.
As of right now, it'll
Yes.
be 3-1 in
But they
favor
have-
of the Caps.
The Capitals have been known
Let me
to
just
blow
be
3-1
sure,
leads,
because
I think they're going to win.
let's be sure that it is the right score, because I saw it went from 2, and then it jumped up to 3. Let's be sure. We got a goal from Tom Wilson.
Wilson.
Another assist from Evgeny
Isn't he a
Kuznetsov.
goon, Tom Wilson?
Tom Wilson is a good.
And I can't find the other one, but I guess it looks like it's
4-0?
And then the other one, we got another goal, this time courtesy of Devontae Smith-Pelly, and Alexander Ovechkin also had an assist as well.
So what's the count?
Pelly.
4?
No, it's
3-0. 3-0.
Devontae Smith-Pelly is
Devontae
a fourth
Smith-
line. He's a fourth-line player. He's not even good.
Uh,
Boy,
but
oh
it-
boy. You know what?
I like Smith-Pelly. I like his scrappiness.
You know what?
I like
There-
the scrappiness in him.
This is what I'm going to say about the Stanley Cup, and this is a hockey saying, which if you've never heard it, Rob, it's very much fact. Okay, your top 6 will get you to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Your bottom 6 will win you the Stanley Cup.
And it's now the end of the first
that-
period.
and that is-
You're only as strong as your weakest link.
That is plainly the truth. As I said, the top 6 will get you to the playoffs. The bottom 6 will win you the cup, because you won't win a Stanley Cup if you don't have a good 3rd and 4th line. And you know what? The guys you just mentioned, Frank,
Yes.
I believe Smith-Pelly is a 4th-line player, and
Wilson's got to be a 4th-line player.
Wilson is a 5th-line
That might be his only shift of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Wilson basically goes out there with the boxing gloves, and the hockey game kind of just gets in his way.
Dion Brown on Facebook. Can they still make the playoffs? It's still a lot of ball to play. I say no.
Oh, they can, sure.
Dion, I'm assuming he's talking about the Phillies there.
Yes.
And can they? Yes. Will they? No. They're not going to. They're not. You have Scott Kingery hitting 210 with an on-base percentage under 300.
But there's room to improve.
You have Rhys Hoskins
Injured.
on the disabled list, who was really
Probably won't be
maybe
back.
that's a blessing in disguise though.
Maybe he won't be back till July, most likely.
Well, maybe he can screw his head on right and actually hit the ball when he comes back, because he was really scuffling.
Yeah,
Like him as a player, but he was really.
He was in a deep slump.
I mean,
No question.
The only everyday player you can rely on is Odubel Herrera, and even he didn't really play that good on the road trip. I mean, I understand he wasn't
Rob,
going to he wasn't going to hit
listen,
350,
yeah, I was gonna
360 the
say,
whole year.
He's not
He's
gonna
down
hit
to
360.
312. I expect him
Okay,
to be in
but
the
he'll
320
probably-
range for the
He'll
year.
probably level out. The market correction got him to 312, but he's about a 310 to 320 hitter.
He should
That's
be,
probably,
yeah. He hit 290 last year
All
when
right,
at
so
this time
then-
last year he was hitting 190.
Okay,
And
but
he's
he'll probably be, but he'll be fine. I wouldn't worry about him. Cesar Hernandez has still done a nice job. You know,
But even he's down to 266. Cesar, he gets on base at a 380 clip, so
that's very
he
good.
can walk. So
Yeah,
that's good for the
very
leadoff
good.
spot.
Maikel Franco, last time I looked, he seemed to be having a better year this year than he has had in the past.
He looks the part.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to be okay. You just the Phillies
He's
with
okay, but you really need a
they need-
bopper
yeah, no, they
at
need-
third base in the National League.
they need a scary guy in the middle of that lineup. They need a guy who when you know he's up in maybe when he's up in 2 or 3 batters, you know, Freddie Freeman is coming. Bryce Harper is coming. Aaron Judge is up in 2 batters. Yeah, that's the kind of, you know, or oh damn, Altuve's coming up in 2 batters. We've got to get the lead.
See, now this is why I would see Clintack's not smart enough to do anything good. I gave him credit for the Arrieta signing, even though I've soured him.
But that's just throwing money at somebody.
Well, what do you think he's going to have to do in the offseason?
Well, he's
made no steps.
But he's going to have to.
He's made no steps to impress Bryce Harper and Manny Machado. This is why the Phillies have to find a way to trade for Manny Machado and sign him.
That's going to be very difficult.
I mean, if it costs you,
I mean, honestly, I think I could see. I don't think the Yankees are in the Manny Machado sweepstakes at all right now. I mean, I know you're saying, you know, well, he's an improvement over Miguel. Yeah, he is an improvement over
right?
Miguel.
That goes back. See, if
but
I were the
Miguel
Orioles,
a
though,
bad
I wouldn't
player?
even pick up the Yankees phone call.
they're not the
The
Yankees.
division rivals.
Yeah, they're probably not gonna trade Manny Machado to the Yankees. But you know what, the whole thing with the Orioles is, wouldn't they be better off dealing with a team like the Dodgers, who have an absolutely loaded team, you know, and a loaded farm system? They would probably get more guys back than what the Phillies have to offer. I'm
You're
just
probably
saying.
right.
And
The
also,
Dodgers
they
are
lost Seager. They lost Seager. They're going to need a
That's
shortstop.
true, but he's going to be back. I mean,
That further emphasizes my point. He's going to be back next year. In the meantime, this year, Manny Machado can play shortstop, and they can try to win. The Dodgers have enough depth in their farm system that they can go out, make a move, bring that guy in so he can play shortstop this year. And you know what? If they decide they don't want to keep him, they can let him go instead of paying him at the end of this year. But they have the money if they want to get him because they're the
well,
Dodgers.
that'd be ludicrous to trade for a rental in Manny Machado.
But they could re-sign him.
Right.
They
And
have
I
the
agree with
money
you.
to
The
do that.
Dodgers are well equipped to make a deal like that.
Do you think Seager would? Do you think? Here's the problem. Okay.
Well, you have
Next
Turner
year,
at third.
Turner is going to be playing third. Would Turner move back to second base? I mean, he was a second baseman with the Mets.
I don't know. I don't care about the. I don't
I'm
care.
just
I
making a
understand.
point.
I
I'm just
understand what
making
you're
a
doing.
point.
Maybe. My
I'm just telling you
philosophy
where I
has
think
always
Machado-
been: you get the talent, put fucking Seager at second, let Machado play shortstop. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Figure it out.
Somebody will play. Yeah,
Figure it out.
Play
Someone will
second.
play second. It's
Yeah.
by far the easiest
Exactly.
position.
But Machado, to me, to the Dodgers, just seems more likely than to Boston or the Phillies. And I'm not just
But
saying that.
if
'cause
I'm
a
Matt
Yankee fan.
Clintack, I would give up one of Rhys Hoskins and Herrera.
Oh, for Machado.
Right, as
Oh,
the
yeah.
centerpiece
Oh,
of the
yeah,
pack,
yeah,
as
yeah,
the
yeah,
centerpiece of the package.
That's a no-brainer if you can re-sign him, but you can't get him as a rental.
No,
You can't get him as a rental. That's the one thing you can't do. And I don't. The problem is,
but this is why
But is
this
Manny-
is why the Orioles should have traded him at last year's trade deadline.
they should have traded him at the beginning of last season. Then they would have gotten.
I
then
don't
they would have
know
gotten-
because they were still making. They were
All right,
still.
last trade deadline. You're right because you know what? If you look at Oakland traded Sonny Gray because they could get maximum value. When the Yankees traded Andrew Miller, they traded him when they could get maximum value. You know, I mean that's your timing. You're right, Rob. Timing is everything for these trades. The Orioles held on to these guys too long. What about Adam Jones?
Adam Jones,
is
Britton, a
having
whole lot of them.
phenomenal season. He's having a phenomenal season this year.
All right, let's take our break. We'll switch over exclusively to YouTube. I'll post the link on my Facebook if my computer finishes updating. I can't believe it's still not done. But Sports Hounds will be back right after this.
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Sports Hounds, A2D Radio, BMW of Atlantic City Studios, Rob Brinkman, Brad Ryer, Frank the Tank Besby, taking you till 10 o'clock, exclusively on YouTube for the final hour. A lot going on. Scanzano Sports poll question: has your opinion of the process changed with the Bryan Colangelo fiasco? Mine has. I know Frank and Brad, a lot of people, I'm in the minority with it changing of the process. I think it's going to be hard to complete the process this season with this black cloud hanging over the franchise. But we got the NBA draft coming up. They really got to figure this out, because not long after the NBA finals conclude is going to be the NBA draft.
That could happen. That could be done, with the next game's Tuesday, and then when's the next game after that?
I mean, and they're
Friday?
probably going to get swept. I mean, I can't
Yeah.
believe that moron didn't know the score in game
J.R.
one.
Jeez.
And then that other
That was
moron who
something.
missed the foul shot to begin with.
If you can't
George
believe,
Hill.
if you can't believe J.R. Smith would forget the score, you obviously haven't seen J.R. Smith play a lot.
Yeah.
When he was with the Knicks, he was such a bonehead. I mean,
It was going to be
we
tough
loved
for him to
but
get something off.
we
And,
Right.
loved him,
and,
Yeah.
But, like, you don't dribble it out to half court.
And of course, they also had the timeout as well.
they should've
like,
just
Where's Ty Lue calling it? Just,
Yeah.
yeah, Ty Lue could have called the timeout.
yeah,
It's
somebody
just
could have
an
called the
embarrass-
timeout.
and-
Yeah.
It's so embarrassing for that slop that they put with LeBron. That coach is terrible. Tyronn Lue is awful. We criticize Brett Brown like
Yeah.
a lot. I probably more than
You're probably the biggest Brett Brown
I probably
critic.
criticize. But Frank, I criticize because I care. You know?
I know you
want to
care.
see. I
You
want to
do
see him
care.
do good.
Yeah.
And he makes me really, really mad sometimes. But Brett Brown is
Yeah.
exponentially better than Tyronn Lue.
Oh yeah.
Tyronn Lue
absolutely.
doesn't have a clue.
Right.
He has LeBron, so he
He
gets
has
to be in the
LeBron.
finals.
That's it. That's
Well,
all Ty
yeah.
Lue has. It's LeBron.
Yes,
When you
LeBron.
Take
see-
LeBron out of the equation, you just have
So-
21
your
team.
And then
traditionally
I
bad Cavs
wasn't
teams.
surprised in the least that the Cavs got run out of the building last night. They kind of had their chance in Game 1 to get home court back, and they blew it. We'll see what they can do.
They got to within 7 a couple of times.
But Steph was unconscious. Durant was unconscious. I mean,
when he shoots that way, when Curry is on fire like that,
You
is there
can't beat him.
anything you can really do
no.
except maybe give him a hard foul and try to just knock him off his game? I mean,
Boy, I'd love to see that, but
I mean,
Um,
where's Charles Oakley when you need him? You know, give a guy a hard foul just to try to get under his skin and get him off his game a little bit. You just don't see that anymore.
But the end of Game 1, George Hill gets to the line. Who I have to give George Hill credit. He had a horrendous Game 1 and really bounced back and played well in Game 2. But, I mean, it just wasn't enough. The Warriors are just too good. You got to make a foul shot. It doesn't ice the game because there's still, 5 seconds left for the Warriors to get they would get a shot off
they'd
in
get a
5
shot in
seconds.
5 seconds, sure.
Probably would have went in and they would have lost
Curry,
anyway.
yeah, Curry would
At least
shoot
make
it
the
from
foul
midcourt.
shot.
Well, yeah, make it.
And
but
especially
when
Hill.
And then
got the
J.R.
rebound,
Smith.
Right.
J.R.
full
Smith.
timeout
Did you see, especially when you see
when he's
because
running back out to midcourt.
he
Yeah.
gets an
then he
offensive
throws-
board over Kevin Durant.
And
Kevin Durant's 6'10".
Right.
J.R. Smith's what, 6'4"?
Yeah.
If that.
He busts his ass to get the offensive rebound. Does a really great job.
And he still had the perfect opportunity
He's
to
got
sink
5
it in.
5 seconds
Yeah.
left. You got to think he's at least getting fouled on the putback.
Right.
But what's Tyronn Lue watching as J.R. Smith is dribbling to half court? Doesn't as a coach, you got
And
to
then
know.
he throws it
Right.
to LeBron when there are two guys.
Or pass it to LeBron, or maybe George Hill, or even make the shot
no,
yourself.
when he got the
like-
ball, the first thing he should have done was call timeout.
Yeah.
But
That
be
would've
that
been
as it may, because there was 5 seconds left. After you see him confused and not knowing what the hell's going on, how can you not be around J.R. Smith every day like he is?
Well, correct
and
me
not
if
say
I'm-
and not say, whoa, JR doesn't know what's going on. He's confused.
correct-
Why don't we get a timeout
correct
going
me if I'm
and get
wrong.
LeBron a shot for the win?
Rob, correct me if
So
I'm
if
wrong.
LeBron misses at the buzzers, who cares? You're going to go to overtime.
Shouldn't the coach have told these guys, in case of a miss, this is what you do, or in case of a make, this is what you do? Wouldn't he have prepared him for that? Isn't that on the coach? I mean, how do you not know what to do? if
Something
you
as
get the
basic as
rebound?
what the score is in Game 1 of the NBA
It's not
Finals
even a
with 5
question of
seconds
that.
left.
It's if you
He
get
should
the
know
rebound.
that.
If you get the rebound, shouldn't Lou have just said to all the players, if you get the ball, this is what you do? You know, either call a timeout or get the ball right to LeBron or put it right back up and try to score again. Wouldn't that have been something that the coach is supposed to tell the guys? I mean, that is kind of on the coach too. It's not just JR should know
I
better.
think the Godfather's about to walk through the door right here. So we'll get his step. But when I was 9 years old playing baseball, the coach would, hit it, plays it first. And then there'd be an assistant coach being now. Every situation, if the ball comes to you, what are you going to do with the ball?
That's what I'm trying to say.
That's not on the coach in Game 1 of the NBA Finals.
Why?
I see where you're coming from, and yes, he's a bad coach.
Why though? I mean, that should be on the coach should be telling the players. I mean, you can't assume anything if you're the coach. You got to
Especially with J.R. Smith. I agree with you, but still,
I understand the professional.
how does he
athletes, they
not
should
know?
Because he's J.R. Smith. That's why. And J.R. Smith is J.R. Smith. He's always going to be that kind of a player. You've always got to make sure you keep him in the game. I mean, the guy has got a world of talent, and he's talented enough and deceptive enough and smart enough
And
to figure out a way to get a rebound over Kevin Durant, and then he goes and he runs out to midcourt with the ball. I mean,
it was
because he didn't know what to do when he got the ball. That was the problem.
well, he thought he was doing good. He thought they were winning.
Yeah, I know, but
He thought everyone was gonna be jumping up and
But
down,
somebody-
proud of him.
but somebody needed, but all the players needed to be reminded what the deal is if they get
Tom,
the
when you're
ball.
practicing with your boys, like with the outfield, you say, "What are you supposed to do?" Think about it before every pitch. Get behind. But what am I supposed to do if the ball's hit to me? We're talking about J.R. Smith and how he didn't know what to do when the ball came to him in Game 1.
Isn't that? I'm saying that it
Be
should have been
mentally,
on the coach.
look around, see
That
who's
the coach
there.
should be telling these guys what to do if the shot is made and what to do if the shot is missed. That they should be on point and know exactly what to do. That I'm
I don't
trying to
think-
take the
I'm
blame
not
off
putting-
of JR a little bit and a little bit on the coach too. Yeah,
That's what we were just talking. Like,
Yeah.
you call timeout.
but it's before the guy's going to the foul line. Every one of your players is walking past the bench. He's not shouting out to his players what to do while they're walking towards the foul line.
How about just look up at the 84-inch jumbo plasma screen scoreboard they
I
probably got in
understand that,
Golden
but,
State?
But isn't that
And
like
look.
coaching 101? Wouldn't the coach have done that?
No, Tyronn Lue's a terrible coach, but that's not on Tyronn Lue.
Everybody's yelling, if you get the ball, call. If you get the rebound, call. If he misses, call timeout.
The
Yeah.
fact that timeout wasn't called, that's on Tyronn Lue. Him not knowing,
Him
J.R.
not knowing
Smith
the
not
score,
knowing the situation of
that's-
the game and what was he's supposed to do if he potentially gets the ball,
He's a
that's
dummy.
on J.R. Smith.
He's a big dummy. I mean, yeah. And poor LeBron. Did you see LeBron's face?
I can.
LeBron was ready to kill him. I mean,
I hope not. I hope not.
yeah, I know.
How about
Where's that pressure going to go, guys? Where's all that pressure going to shift to?
and then
Oh yeah.
how about the refs? How about the refs hosing LeBron with 36 seconds left, overturning a judgment call?
Oh yeah, that was
Overturning a
ridiculous.
judgment call.
You can't do that.
A buddy of mine, we were talking about it. He described it to me like this. It's like in the Super Bowl if the Eagles were playing the Patriots and, like, you're challenging, like, a catch out of bounds, see if you got both feet in, and then the refs come back and say, oh, by the way, it's not a catch, but there was also pass interference over there that we missed, so we're going to throw that flag now.
Yeah,
You
it's
can't do
just-
that.
You can't.
It's
By
horrible.
the way, I did hear today that in the NBA Summer League, they are going to be allowed to challenge fouls. I don't know.
That's baloney.
Yeah.
I'll never watch the NBA again.
That's
I
And the
know.
game
They're
will
gonna-
stop every 5
No,
seconds.
they're going to get one. I don't remember how many challenges they're going to get. Like 1 or 2 challenges a game where they can challenge a foul.
no.
I heard that on the radio today. I heard it on.
You're probably right.
I heard it on a New York sports radio station today.
I
can only
actually heard.
attest to
I
what
heard about this as well.
Is this true?
That's horrible.
I mean, it's luckily it's
experimenting.
It's experimental.
They're experimenting with it in the summer league in the NBA.
It
Summer League.
might not work at all, but it'll be interesting to see on how it will be implemented. I mean, it could work, but
It's not going to work.
it's not.
ter-
But it sounds great,
Isn't it gonna,
but
isn't it going to make the
it's-
game
it's-
like
it's-
another
it-
20 minutes longer?
there's no need for it. And yeah, I know
what
everybody.
do you need the challenge for?
Yeah,
Every time in the last 5 minutes.
If the hand hits the wrist, but that's probably it, though. That's
They already
the only
stopped
way
the
to-
game for
yeah,
10 minutes on
yeah.
every controversial play in
Right.
crunch time anyway. What's the
I
difference?
mean, I get,
Now you're gonna do
I
that
get,
in the-
I get with the
it's
possession
6
in
minutes
the,
left
in
in
the
the
last
first
2
quarter?
minutes of the game.
I'm just
but-
telling you what I heard today. That
And you know what?
It's
Know what else
something.
really gets me mad is the 2-minute report that the NBA league office puts out about all the mess ups that the refs do. Shut up.
I mean, it puts some of the refs accountable if they know that they screwed
Yeah.
up the call.
You don't have to
It puts them
publish it to ESPN. You can say,
Right.
"Yo, here's the 2-minute report. Like,
Yeah.
we gotta clean this stuff up, guys, behind closed doors,
Right.
not on ESPN." So freaking Mike Greenberg, Jalen Rose, and Michelle Beadle
Oh,
can
boy.
analyze it and tell the world.
Right.
It's baloney.
it also kills their credibility.
And now the stupid Warriors. Tom's absolutely right. It's going to be a sweep.
Yeah,
Hopefully they respond in
I agree
Cleveland.
with
Here's a sweep, and LeBron to Philly confirmed. Well, close to confirmed, but oh well.
Hashtag JTP. Mataran's been throwing that around. I don't know if he started it or that's a thing, but
Join the process.
join the process. I'm assuming that's what it means.
I hope that's what it means.
But he's
Because I don't know any people named JTP off the top of my head. But
no, it's join the process.
join
It
the
has
process.
To be,
It has
right?
to be join the. I mean, TTP's trust the process. Yeah,
So JTP.
has to be join the
Has to be.
process.
Has to be.
I mean, I said it earlier. I'll be so crushed if he doesn't come to the Sixers. I'll be crushed. There'll be no point in watching the NBA. For me, at least. I mean, I'll still watch because the Sixers will still be good, but man, it makes so much sense. And if it turns out that this black cloud,
One thing about LeBron,
idiot
though,
Bryan Colangelo,
LeBron is very unpredictable.
is he though?
Yeah, he is. He is. Everybody, listen. When he made the decision many moons ago, everybody assumed he was going to New York with Chris Bosh. That was what everybody thought was going to happen because the Knicks
Right.
the Knicks were under the
Or
under the,
Brooklyn was in the mix.
or
Brooklyn
he
was
could
in
have
the
stayed
mix,
in
but-
Cleveland.
yeah,
that was the
everybody-
talk.
Nobody,
Yeah, but
nobody
everyone
saw
knew he
Miami.
Right.
Nobody
Like-
saw Miami until
When he
until 5 minutes before he announced it. Then all of a sudden,
when he
everybody
took
knew.
his jersey off after Game 6 in Boston in, what was it, 09 or
Yeah,
2010,
in
whenever.
the 09 10 in
When,
the
once he
09
took
10
that
playoffs.
jersey off, he was
Yeah.
not playing for the Cavaliers.
Right.
He was not re-signing. Just like he's not going to re-sign with the There's 0% chance that man's on the
And you know,
Cavaliers
he
next
doesn't.
offseason.
At this point, he
It's
doesn't know.
a definite
He
lock.
doesn't
He's
know,
not going to come back.
and he
to
doesn't
Cleveland.
know. He doesn't know Cleveland anything. He won the championship.
He won the championship.
He's played his
and that's
heart
it.
out. He's played his heart out there for the last few
Well, there's
years.
an owner in Cleveland that seems to go out of his way to displease the best player on the planet whenever he
Nice.
gets the chance. He
He's-
fired his boy Griffin when he was trying to trade for Paul George, and almost had, according to reports, almost had Paul George in Cleveland to go
Well,
along with Kyrie.
I guess my question though with LeBron, and there is, if you want to throw a little snow at LeBron, is my question is, what in God's name happened with you and Kyrie Irving that Kyrie had to leave? What happened?
I
I
think
don't
Kyrie
know.
Irving looks worse and worse.
I mean, what?
He looks worse and worse because
Who's
clearly LeBron didn't need Kyrie to go to the finals. The Celtics made the Eastern Conference Finals without Kyrie.
Right.
Kyrie Irving didn't even sit on the bench in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals because he had nasal surgery, something that easily could have been rescheduled so he could sit on the bench and facial nasal surgery. I don't know, maybe a sleep apnea. I don't know. Who the hell knows?
God.
I'm not privy to his medical records.
So
but
maybe it was
you can't
Kyrie.
reschedule that and support your team in Game 7?
I guess my question
Gordon
is,
Hayward's on the bench. He's got a shattered leg.
Yeah.
what
He might not even be ready for the
What-
opening of next year,
what
according to the
happened?
reports.
What pissed off Kyrie Irving?
He
to the
wanted.
point
He
where-
wants to be the man.
Yeah, I think a good chunk of it is he wanted to be the face of the franchise, and that's what when he was drafted in 2011, it was like, all right, or 2010, excuse me, one of those years that
Right,
he was
right.
going to be the stepping stone to a real building process when LeBron left for Miami, and that was also the same thing with when they won the draft to get Andrew Wiggins.
So you think
They
he-
wanted to build a tandem with
But he was.
Wiggins and Irving.
He was. They don't beat the Warriors in
Right.
2016 without Kyrie Irving.
Right. They don't.
Yeah, no, they
No,
don't.
they would probably still be. They're probably in another year of rebuilding at this rate with the Cavs. But I mean, I don't know.
The Cavs will get
It's
the
something.
Nets
So, I
pick-
think-
draft
I think-
pick, so. They'll be okay.
I think Kyrie's the diva, but
yeah, I
if,
just
if
wonder,
Kyrie
was
Irving's
it
your best
LeBron?
player, are you going to win a championship?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I'm just asking.
I don't.
What
know.
do you guys think?
No,
I don't know.
no. I don't think he can do it by himself.
If
He-
Kyrie was healthy, I think the
he
Celtics
was
would be in the
healthy,
finals
yeah.
right
I
now. They
agree
would
with
not
you.
win.
if they had Hayward, they might.
It'd be a conversation, but the Warriors,
Yeah,
they're so
it-
good.
it's a- it's
they're
a-
so good.
Maybe not this year. Maybe they wouldn't win this year, but they get the experience this year and would make them doubly tough next year. They're going to be doubly tough next year anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not picking the Celtics to beat the Warriors in a 7-game series to win
Next year?
the championship.
Oh, this
Ever.
year. Oh, well,
If the Warriors have those 4 players,
if they're all healthy, yeah, they're still in their prime, so they're not
No.
going anywhere.
the only chance, in my opinion, for them, the Warriors to be dethroned, is if LeBron comes to the Sixers.
Or Houston. Suppose he went to Oklahoma City.
Stop. He's not going to go.
He's not going to go to
Oklahoma
OKC.
Just saying.
City.
No.
Just saying, if he was there, they might have enough players to
Yeah,
make
Russell
that as-
Westbrook would shove him out of the way so he can get a rebound, so he
Oh
can get
my
his triple
God.
double.
You really think he would do that?
Yes,
to
I've
LeBron?
seen him do it.
To
this
LeBron
year.
though. Well, maybe that's why Kevin Durant left.
That's exactly why Kevin Durant
Yeah,
left.
maybe that's it.
All he cares about is getting a triple double
Yeah, well, that doesn't. that
and
doesn't
looking
win
good in the
championships.
stats. And gifted player. Not saying he's not, but he's never going to win anything. He's not a winning player.
Then he's probably going to end up. You know what? Then he'll end up on the Knicks one day. Because that's kind of how it always ends up.
That's a match made in heaven right there.
Yeah,
Russell Westbrook and the New York Knicks.
Yeah, he'll end up on the Knicks then, because that's just how it always seems to
But
work with
in
them.
the last game of the season, when Russell Westbrook needed 16 rebounds to get a triple double or average a triple double for the season, I saw him shove Carmelo Anthony out of the way to get a rebound.
No.
Yeah, he boxed out Carmelo Anthony to get a rebound. They're on the same team.
Yeah, no, I know they're on the same team. I mean,
That's the
Carmelo used to be selfish, but
I'm just saying.
even Carmelo was never that bad.
I'm just pointing out the diva quality,
Wow.
the
Okay.
selfishness
So then
of Russell Westbrook.
So then we'll knock him out. We'll definitely knock
LeBron
them
would
out.
strangle Russell Westbrook probably within 5 minutes of being his teammate. I'm surprised he hasn't strangled J.R. Smith yet.
He
It's
must
a lot
love-
of restraint.
He must love J.R.
Or that
Smith
idiot-
deep down. Deep
Not
down, he must.
anymore.
No, but you know what I mean, though, Rob.
If he did,
It must be
he
his,
doesn't
the
anymore.
stupid little brother thing that he didn't want to kill him. Because boy, I've never seen him so upset. He looked beside himself.
How would you feel?
Oh, I don't blame him. I mean, listen, I've done a complete reversal on LeBron. I have the ultimate.
His
respect for him.
performance in Game 1 was the best basketball game I've ever seen anybody play.
What did he have? 47 points.
He had 51, 51,
That's right.
8 and 8.
Yeah, I mean, he's just and he's doing this. In
I
the
guess you
finals.
could put the game 6, and I guess it was 2011 in Boston where he needed to win to extend the series, and he had something like 46 points and 15 assists or something like
Yeah,
that.
he really is a remarkable player. I mean, there's nothing that guy can't do.
I mean, the little help he needed to beat a team like the Warriors in Game 1, couldn't get.
Well, that's because that team is just sad.
And Kevin Love, I don't understand it. I don't understand how they didn't win Game 1. I don't I don't understand it. That overturn with 36 seconds left, that's the tuck rule of the NBA. That's the
Yeah,
equivalent
no,
of the tuck rule in
they-
the NBA.
They just
That's a horrendous,
and what amazes
terrible
me
call.
is LeBron, and of all people, LeBron getting a job like that really is shocking. And, you know, the whistle has not been kind to the Cleveland Cavaliers in this series at all.
They got blown out last night, but I mean,
They're not getting a good whistle though.
I thought that they didn't get a good whistle in Game 2 too. Not that it would have mattered, but there was 2 or 3 out of bounds calls in the first half of Game 2 that were clearly Cavs ball, and they were awarded the Warriors. And then you give them a second chance, they're going to make a 3, and it's 5-6 point swing.
Yeah, and you know what? The shame was that every time
He gets tackled on a fast break in the second half and doesn't nothing.
But every time they got it to and they got it to within 7 a couple of times.
Couple of times.
A
When
couple of
LeBron,
times. Yeah, LeBron, they make a couple of stops.
he was too passive in Game 2. When he went in kill mode, that's when they cut the lead.
Rob, I think the problem is he doesn't. I don't think he has enough gas in the tank to be in kill mode for a whole game every game. It's hard to do that. I mean, it's almost impossible. I mean, what he's been able to do is just remarkable because just based on the complete lack of talent that team has, that he's been able to get them all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, it's unbelievable.
NBA Finals. He already won the Eastern
Yeah,
Conference
that's what I
Finals.
mean. But that's what I meant. But the fact that they were
He already
able
won
to
that.
get,
Yeah.
the fact they were able to get past the Boston Celtics.
2 stats before I bury Jake Arrieta some more. 2 stats.
Okay.
He was down 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Everyone said he was down and out, dead and buried, the whole 9 yards. He stinks. He's not good, whatever. He won that series. The last team to come back, teams that go down 0-2, teams that go up 2-0 are 29-4 in the NBA Finals. The last team to do it was LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Warriors in 2016.
Well, they were down
Or
3-1.
2015.
They were down 3 games.
They were
to
down
1.
3-1, but they were down 2-0 as
and
well.
they had to win 2 games in Oakland
Correct.
that year,
So
which they did.
obviously you got to win Game 3.
Yeah, the question is, can they? They better not get behind early. I'll tell you that. They better get out to a nice lead.
Game 1 showed me they can hang though.
Yeah, but they need what they need to do.
Stuff has to go right.
They've got to get out in the first 5 minutes. They got to jump out to like a 10-point lead and keep that game at arm's distance the whole game. If they could do something along those lines, then I'll start to get convinced that maybe they can win Game 4 and they can make this a series. But if they need a miracle to win Game 3, they're not going to win Game 4, and it'll be over in 5.
It'll be a sweep.
It could be, but I think if I could see the Cavaliers winning Game 4 because the Warriors will be out there celebrating and probably not be completely focused in a Game 4
Win Game 3.
situation.
Game 3 is
and then win it all in Oakland.
It's Wednesday, Friday, right, Frank? I think
For the finals?
NBA, yeah.
Let's
I think
figure that
I'm pretty
out.
sure it's Wednesday, Friday. So
NBA
nothing tomorrow.
finals.
Then you got
Yep.
Wednesday, Friday.
Wednesday, Friday,
In
Monday, Thursday.
I think
Yep.
you know who I'm rooting
Game
for.
3 in Cleveland.
Yeah, I think it's going to be over on Friday, but hopefully I'm wrong.
Could be possible.
But
I still
Yeah.
think Warriors in 5. I think the Cavs are going to sneak one. by, but
I hope so.
I said Cavs in
I
6.
sincerely
I'm
hope
sorry, I
so.
said Warriors in 6 on Facebook. But I mean, I'm still in disbelief that they found a way to lose. Game
that
one.
was a crushing defeat. So now we're 10 minutes into the second period, by the way, in the Stanley Cup Finals, and the Capitals continue to lead that game 3-0.
yep,
So they'll be up 3-1,
they'll be up
barring a
3-1
huge
as of right
collapse.
now.
yeah, unless there's a
barring
miracle.
a huge
Right.
collapse.
Yeah, unless there's a miracle comeback, and that would really be a miracle. It's going to be 3-1, and they're going to really be up against it.
And then they'll go to Vegas, right? Or do they do the 2-3-2 in the NHL?
No, they do 2-2-1-1-1.
So they'll go to
Yeah.
Vegas. Vegas, hopefully they win at home. I don't want to see Ovechkin win.
I think it needs to happen. Ovechkin, if there was
he's been-
one
he-
deserving player
he's
that
been
needs the
knocking
cup,
at that
it's
door.
Ovechkin.
He's been knocking at that door for so long.
Yeah, it's his time to lift the Stanley Cup. It needs to happen.
Yeah, you would think so, but it's.
I mean, you
he's
can
the
say
one
that
to
with a
do it.
bunch of players over the course of the history of the league. I mean, Ray Bork waited 22 years to finally lift up his trophy.
Well, as long as he didn't get it in Boston, it was great to see.
Right.
That was the best part of that was that it didn't happen in Boston.
Yeah.
But Ray Bork was a great player. But you know what? I just like in hockey. I like to see greatness rewarded. And there were a couple of great players who never did win a Stanley Cup. Mike Gartner. I don't think he never won one. I don't think Dino Cicerelli ever won one.
Cicerelli never won one.
And
He came
it's-
close.
Dale Howardchuk never won a
Howard
Stanley Cup.
Chuck.
I mean, it's a shame. Some of these guys were never able to win a Stanley Cup. Some of these all-time great players.
Yeah. Borje Salming, another one of the greatest European players ever. Never won a cup.
Before Nick Lindstrom.
Yeah.
Lidstrom, he was the best.
Yeah.
He was the best foreign-born defenseman of all time, without question.
Right.
But I mean, I personally, when it comes to hockey, I like seeing greatness rewarded. I like to see great players have a championship. It bugs the hell out of me when they don't, because then everybody gives them all this unfair criticism, like somehow it's their fault
Right.
that they didn't win the Stanley Cup. And it's 99 times out of 100, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
They had nothing to do with it.
Or they had nobody around them, or they were outplayed by even better teams of that era.
Exactly.
I mean, even in the original 6 era, it was like, all right, it's everybody against the Canadians. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, but
That's
the
basically-
Canadians,
yeah.
the Canadians always got the first-round draft pick every year.
They always got the draft picks. They always got the players.
Because there was no amateur draft. Everything
Right.
it was the wild West, and
Yeah.
you signed whoever you could sign. And all the French Canadian kids wanted to play in Montreal.
And all the English Canadian kids want to play for the Leafs. So
Right.
it's like
or the Blackhawks.
or the Blackhawks.
So and until Detroit got Howe, but then the Bruins and the Rangers
Right.
were stuck with all the trash because nobody wanted to play in New York and nobody wanted to play in Boston.
Unless if you wanted to play alongside one Andy Bathgate.
Yeah, but he was the only one.
Yeah.
Back then. So, I think Rod Gilbert was the first real good
Yeah.
French Canadian that signed with the Rangers. So that's why Montreal used to win all those cups, because there was only 6 teams and there was no draft.
Right.
So, unfair advantage for them. And as soon as they had a draft, they continued for about 9 more years because they still had all those great players. But once that wave of great players died out in the late 70s, they never really put together much of anything after that. They won a couple with Rouen, and then that was it.
Yeah. Wow. I'm just like looking at all these players. I'm looking at the 100 greatest players.
Look at Michel Goulet. I mean, he
Goulet.
scored almost 600 goals, and he never won a cup either.
Yeah. Marcel Dion, another one. I don't
He
think
never won a cup.
Yeah.
Marcel Dion had
Marcel Dion
had 700 goals.
Yeah.
And he didn't win a cup. I mean, there's a lot of them, and
Jeez.
that's why I really some of these guys who really put together incredible numbers. And Alex Ovechkin is a great player. I mean,
Oh yeah.
let's be honest. If he were on the Flyers or the Rangers, he would be revered in either one of those towns. I mean, who wouldn't love a 6'5", 240-pound player who could score and beat the hell out of you? You know, and also if every time he checks somebody, you have to worry
If he's
that guy's gonna
aggressive
give
and
up.
charges the net and uses that 6'5" frame like he has in the Eastern Conference Finals and Stanley Cup Finals
Oh, he's
this
been
season.
doing it in the playoffs this year.
this year,
yeah.
if he's gonna play like he has in the playoffs this year, then yeah, I'd welcome him. If he's gonna flame out and be soft like he's been in years past, then I don't want nothing to do with him.
Well, that's kind of what happened. I mean, the problem is though, guys that do that, like for example, I'll give you an example of a guy who did that and unfortunately got hurt and never really was the player he was supposed to be was Eric Lindros. I mean, Eric Lindros never had a problem being aggressive and
Is
going
he on
to
the top? Is he on the top 100 list? that you're looking
Lindros?
at?
Lindros, I
Lindros was
believe.
he might be because he was a great player.
Lindros is on the list.
He should be. He was a great
What
player.
number? 88? 88th on the list?
They just list them by
Okay.
like either decades or like over the course of the season.
He didn't win a cup, did he?
Lindros?
Lindros, no. And like Pavel Bure, he's another one.
Yeah, Pavel Bure.
You know, I mean, there's a few others.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah,
If you-
so
you
many
go up
great
and down, there's
players.
So many great players that
Yeah.
didn't sniff. A lot of
Al
them didn't even get a
Al
lot of.
McGinnis.
Al McGinnis.
Goodness, wait a minute. Was he with Calgary when they?
Al McGinnis?
Was he with Calgary in '89?
Let me figure this out. I got the list up.
He would always win the hardest shot contest.
Yeah. Oh, he was
One of my
he
favorites.
was a great defenseman, though.
He
was-
did win a Stanley Cup. Al McGinnis did
he
win
did with,
one.
with Calgary, right?
Yep, with Calgary.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
Lanny.
With Lanny.
Lanny.
Newendike and.
Dyke.
Yeah, that was a great group. That was a
Yeah.
great group of players. How many Hall of Famers were on that team?
Oh, yeah.
That team was loaded with Hall of Famers too. That Calgary team.
Oh, yeah. Adam Oates, another good one. I don't think he won one.
Was he with the Devils when they won? Did he ever play for the Devils?
I don't think so.
No, it seems like
I
he
know.
played-
I remember him like
He was with the Flyers. I remember that.
Oates was a Flyer. He was a Blue for a good
What
chunk.
about Jeremy Roenick? Did he ever win a cup?
No, he never. won a
Roenick did
cup.
not win a cup.
He was a great player too. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot. There's a lot of them.
So many names on here. It's like we could just like run them all down, but so many good names on this list. A great list, by the way.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
What's the name of the list that you're looking at?
100 greatest NHL players.
And you're
So-
just picking out the ones that didn't win a
Yeah,
cup.
the ones that really stand out for me. I'm trying to like remember off
Well,
the top of my head.
the ones that don't stand out are Marcel Dion and Mike Gardner.
Yeah.
Well, what about goalies? Dominic Hasek never won a cup.
Yeah, that,
Yes, he did.
He did win one with
With Detroit.
yeah.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Goalies,
He
let's
went there
see.
and caught on at the end.
Let's see. Johnny
Forgot about
Bauer,
that.
Torque
Dominator.
Broda, Martin Brodeur.
They won.
I think Tony Esposito didn't win
He
one.
did not win.
I was watching a great show about.
But he was on the Team Canada team that beat the Russians.
Yeah.
That's
so
what.
that
Yeah.
has to
Did
count
you
for
see that
something.
show on whatever? NBC Sports, maybe it was NHL Network, about that game.
Which game were you talking about?
The Canadians versus the.
I watched
the,
all those games when I was a kid. I saw every single one of those games.
The Olympic game, and I guess it was '98.
Oh! You mean 1980?
No. It was Hasek and the Czechs
Oh,
against
okay.
Gretzky
Oh.
and the Canadians. It was a big upset.
Oh wow, that must have been some.
It was
game.
the semifinal game.
The Canadians lost. I
The
assume.
Canadians lost. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Hasek was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh.
He was great.
Yeah, he really was. His style was not one that you'd want to teach anybody because I don't think I've ever seen anybody play
Yeah,
goal
but
the way
only
he did.
yeah.
but
No, you can't teach what he did. It was God given.
no, and because he just was able to contort his body in ways that was just
Yeah.
that save that was made the other night by Holtby.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the best save I've
That's-
ever seen in my life.
but the Dominator used to make those kind of saves all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't even know. And Brodeur too. You don't even know how the hell they did
Right.
it. It's like what? You know that save by
Holtby.
Holtby may have been one of the clutchest saves in a Stanley Cup final in the history of the NHL finals, especially if the Capitals win. Because at the time it was done and the fact that the Capitals were able to hold off the Knights and win that game too, because that was a critical game.
Yeah.
Because that game seems to have turned around the whole series.
Right, now they're going to be up 3-1.
I'm going to be up
Yeah, they're gonna
3-1.
be 3-1.
Possibly winning in Washington. Ovechkin finally lifts up the trophy.
Yeah,
And
well,
then the
keep in
debate
mind-
between Crosby and Ovechkin on who's the greatest in this era still continues.
but
And I love it.
keep in mind now, Ovechkin actually has a tag team partner, which Crosby has had all along. He's had Malkin
Yeah.
the whole time. Ovechkin now has Kuznetsov with him as a tag team partner. So he finally has his tag team partner. That's one thing that Ovechkin never had before when he was going up against Crosby. He never had a guy that could be a difference maker to go along with him. He had some nice, for example, like T.J. Oshie. He's a nice player, but he's not. Kuznetsov is just on a different level, and he's finally broken out and had a good series too, because he hasn't been showing up in the playoffs either. He's another one that's been guilty of that.
I want to get back to the Phillies.
The Phillies.
Because I'm just looking, now that my computer's back up with, 12 minutes to go in the show.
Well, at least it finally came up, though.
At least I didn't drop my computer. That
No,
would suck.
I'm not the one who did that, but I know who did. I'm not going to.
Eric
mention her name.
Jr.
I'm not going to.
Eric Jr. did it?
Eric Jr.
Eric
I'm not
Jr.
going to mention. I'm not going to mention her name. So
How many burner accounts do you have on Twitter?
I don't believe I have any burner.
And
accounts.
Rosca listed some more players that have never won a cup. Shane Doan, Joe Thornton, Pat Marlowe, Steve Thomas, Adam
wouldn't
Oates we
put
mentioned,
any
Jerome
of them-
McGinley.
Are you kidding me with
Those
these
guys aren't
guys?
top 100 players ever.
Well, I know a lot of people were. I know when the list finally came out. I know some people were pretty shocked with the exclusion of Thornton and a Ginla.
He's probably the only one.
Iginla, I'll give you a-
was only.
I'll
he's
give you
like a
Iginla.
stretch player.
Aginla was a great play. I mean,
Iginla,
Aginla was
yes.
great.
Yeah,
Aginla
Iginla
was a great player.
He was.
He
in the
should have won.
finals.
He should have won it in 04. That was the one.
his year. When Tampa
That
Bay
was the
won it.
year. That was the year for Calgary to win
Yeah.
another one.
Yeah, because he.
Is
he
that
was,
when the Lightning beat the Flyers in the conference?
That
final?
was
Yes.
the year.
That was
that
that
was the
Flyers.
year.
team
That was-
loaded.
Yes,
That was
when,
one of the toughest ones.
Yeah, that was when they had Esch in goal, and
Yeah.
everybody. And I kept telling everybody that Esch is not good enough to win a Stanley Cup, and everybody thought I was nuts.
He wasn't. And I
He
would've-
wasn't.
If I knew
He
you
had a
back-
great-
if
he had
I
a
knew
great
you
year.
back then.
And
I
trust
would have
me,
agreed with you,
I
but-
was screaming. I was screaming about
But
that.
I mean, they had Mark Recchi. They
Yeah, they had a
Prieto,
great
they had
roster.
They had a great
Gagne,
team,
they
but I
had-
did not
they
like-
had-
I did not like him though. It was him. They who was their goalie? Hobby Bolin, right?
Nikolai Hobby Bullen.
Yeah.
Boulin
that's what I
Wall.
thought.
Hobby.
Yeah,
But
that was his.
Getting back to the Phillies and baseball, because I just looked at their schedule coming up.
They got the Cubs, right?
They got 3 at the Cubs. Then
Oh,
they
boy.
come home and play
That's
the
2 out of
Brewers.
3 losses. The Brewers.
Then the Rockies come to town.
Ugh.
And then the Cardinals come in
They better get it together
quickly. Because, they
These
had
are all good teams.
they had a lot of games against the Reds and the Marlins
So you
when they piled
basically-
up these whatever
so
they are,
basically
35
they're,
and whatever right now.
So basically, their next 12 games, they better not be going 4-8.
I mean, 4-8 might be a
No, they
good
better not.
good
they better
record
not,
based on
they,
how they're playing right now.
They better not go 4-8.
See, this is why in spring training, when everyone was saying that this team was going to contend for the second wild card, I didn't see it. I just didn't see it. The manager fooled me for a while, but, I mean, the book's out on him. I mean, he uses a shift every time, and it never works.
He does.
And we got another goal from the Washington Capitals, this time by Alex Ovechkin.
4-0.
That's
wow.
4-0.
4-0.
Oh, that game's
About
over.
a little over 3.5 minutes left in the second period.
Does Vegas come out in the third period, put a couple of goals up early, and make the Capitals sweat?
Don't doubt that fourth line. That fourth line knows how to score.
Oh, the Capitals.
Oh, the Knights.
Oh, the Knights have a very good fourth line.
Possibly one of the best fourth lines in the league.
Did they move Tartar down? Because I heard Tartar was going to be
Thomas
moved to the
Tatar.
fourth line. I heard he was going to be moved to the fourth line.
I didn't see the lines.
'Cause I
before the
had
game.
heard that Vegas was making wholesale changes on their third and fourth
Yeah.
lines. That they were going to be shuffling lines to try to get some offense because they haven't been able to score.
Right.
So
I have not
obviously
seen
I'm not
anything.
watching the game, so I don't know what's going on. but-
Brad, end of June, the New York Yankees are coming to Philadelphia. Will you be attending any games in South Philly? Or are you too scared you're going to get beat up?
No, I wouldn't be worried about getting beat up because I do know how to behave myself in the.
Well, apparently that doesn't matter according to your Facebook page. The Philly fans are monsters. They,
Oh,
they're
do
pretty
it.
bad. They're pretty bad, but I know how to behave myself.
I'm sure if
there.
I went in the Yankee Stadium with all garbed out in Philly stuff, they would just pat me on the back and.
I don't think anybody really give a crap, to be quite honest with you. Now, if you walked in there with a Red Sox shirt like the moron against Houston the other night,
Oh God.
who was sitting in the bleachers wearing a Red Sox shirt when who was it when the catcher Stassi hit a 2-run home run for Houston. Houston had taken a 2-1 lead, and this knucklehead in the bleachers with Red Sox garb on gets up and starts clapping, and then he got booed, and everybody was the entire stadium was chanting asshole at him.
They use curse words.
They used asshole.
Wow.
I love that
they
word.
use curse words.
Yes, they will. That's one
What
word.
monsters?
That is
Oh,
one word they love
no.
to use.
The Yankees fans using
The-
profanity.
Yes, they do.
Imagine that.
Oh, jeez.
Unruly fans
they-
outside of
but-
Philadelphia.
Well, was he in the bleacher creature section?
Yes, he was.
That's probably why.
he was sitting in the bleachers and he
Oh,
stood up.
jeez.
And he actually was turning around and clapping.
I'm just saying, it seems like a distinguished,
asking
well-behaved
for it.
fan base like the New York fan base wouldn't do anything. All that stuff only happens in Philly.
Only I would say this about New York fans. New York fans can be tough, but they'll only get on you if you ask for it. If you mind
for
your
it.
own business.
How is that different than what happens in Philadelphia?
Because
Because you got booed at the
Philadelphia-
game in your Yankees jersey a million years ago, probably.
Oh no. Getting booed never really bothered me. What bothers me about Philly fans, and I went to a Yankee-Philly game, and the Yankees I went to 3 games in a row, and the Yankees had swept the series, and after the third game, they were just beyond acting like idiots. The Philly fans, it's just like the game's over. Everybody's just leaving. Everybody's kind of minding their own business. It's not like any of the Yankee fans were walking out of the stadium chanting "Let's go Yankees." It was just a very quiet, reserved crowd. And they were looking and they were shoving people around. They put your hands on.
Yeah,
you.
but this is
shouldn't be doing that.
6 people of the 40,000 that went to the game. You're painting with a broad brush.
Well,
Is my point in your criticism of the Philadelphia fan base. Because I bet you if the Phillies went up to Yankee Stadium and beat the Yankees brains in for 3 straight games.
If they did it in the World Series, I'm sure there would be some issues. Sure.
Regular season,
Regular
whatever.
season.
You don't think a few idiots would act out of line towards? I went to. It's a different fan base, but me and my buddy went up to Flushing to see.
Met fans are different than Yankee fans.
I understand that.
Completely, you're talking about it completely.
But the Mets won the game. I'll never forget it. Johan Santana.
It's not gonna matter.
It was Johan Santana against Cole Hamels. It was a gem of a pitching matchup, and of all people, Johan Santana hit the game-winning double in the 7th or 8th inning. And we were getting it on the subway, and the Mets won.
Well, Met fans are like Jet fans, Rob. They're from
But
Queens.
even
and they're-
through us getting buried, there were a few cool Mets fans that were like, yo, they're not doing anything. Like, leave them alone. They were just here to watch the game. So it's just a few idiots that ruin it for everyone.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. If you're asking
Except
me,
for Philadelphia, where everyone's monsters.
well,
Right.
I would say this. I don't know if I'm going to be at any of the games in Philadelphia, but it's not because I'm afraid to show up at the ballpark or anything along those lines. I would say that the
if
reason
you weren't
I wouldn't
scared,
be
you'd
there,
tailgate in the parking lot like a grown man.
the reason I wouldn't be there is because I go to 16 games already a year, and my wife is kind of like gets a little annoyed with me when I go to all these games. So
Is that why she threw your computer?
Maybe that's it. I mean, she kind of gets annoyed at me when I go to all these games. So I'm just wondering, if going to a Yankee Philly game down here, that might be pushing the envelope.
Why
a
don't you
little
take her to the game? Nice night out. It's a nice ballpark.
bit. Take my wife to a
Yeah.
baseball game?
Why? No good?
First of all, she's not really that big of a baseball fan. So she'd probably be kvetching by the third inning. So
There's a lot to do. You got Ashburn Alley. You got wiffle ball. You got
Yeah.
all
The
kinds of
Fanatic.
stuff. Yeah, Philly Fanatic.
The Fanatic giving you
Bro,
kisses.
I don't know about you, but when I
Yeah, but
go
the-
to games, I
Phillies fans, with the Yankees fans, they would not.
I
be.
watch the game. I don't pay attention to all that other stuff. I actually really watch the game and pay attention to the game.
I mean, I watch the game too, but it's like I love going around different stadiums. I think the only two other stadiums I've been to. I mean, wish I could go to more, but I got other plans.
Yeah.
But like I've been to Great American.
You mean you have a life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to Great American Ballpark before. I possibly one of my
What's that? Detroit?
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
I mean,
I drove past it. I didn't go
I like
inside.
Great American Ballpark's really neat, especially the Reds Museum over there. It's really neat. Get to see like all their World Series trophies. Get to see stuff from like the big Red Machine era, stuff that like it's really neat. That's one of the coolest features I've ever seen at Great American Ballpark, as well as the lore of hitting a home run in two different states, which is pretty interesting because it's like. Like Great American Ballpark
Yeah, that's
is
right. It's right next to Kentucky.
yeah,
That's
it's
right.
right on the Ohio River, and depending on where the tides are, where the Ohio River is, if you hit a home run, you could hit the ball in Ohio, and it can land in Kentucky. It's got to land right into the river at the right place at the right time with the tides, and that's probably another cool feature of Great American Ballpark. And then the other one, I've been to New Yankee Stadium, but it wasn't for a Yankees game, so.
Oh, don't tell me you saw like an NYCFC game.
No, it was actually the Pinstripe Bowl, the first ever Pinstripe Bowl.
All right. I was gonna
I've
say,
been to Yankee Stadium before, new and old.
Yeah.
Always wanted to go to old Yankee
I've
Stadium.
been to all three. I've been to all three of them. The one before it was refurbished. Then after
I
it was
went.
refurbished.
I went to
and then
City.
this one.
I went to City Field. I went to
I don't step
Yankees.
foot. I don't step foot in that shit.
Oh, well, I'm a
Shitty
field.
I don't go to shitty field because I don't want to step in shit.
The great
so,
insult.
Yes.
And I went to Camden Yards once. I was at the game
Oh,
where
Camden Yards.
I always want to go to
Great
Camden
ballpark.
Yards.
the Orioles lost 30-3 when I was there.
Oh,
And I
that
remember
one.
that. I do remember that.
30-3
game.
they lost.
Man.
Boog's Barbecue.
Mm.
Some of the best barbecue beef you
Is that
will.
Camden Yards?
Yep. Some of the best barbecue.
I don't remember
beef
what I ate,
sandwich.
but I don't remember
Oh,
that.
God, the food that they had there
Wow.
was the food they had.
It was
there
great.
Was
I
unbelievable.
gotta go to
Yeah.
that stadium. Like
Uh,
every single time,
If you go,
a
if
group
you
of
go,
friends.
just go for the food. I
Yeah.
mean, the food is unbelievable.
Like I remember,
Phillies are going to be playing
like
there one
10,
more game,
11
right?
years ago, a couple of my high school
What?
friends.
They got one more game.
We
yeah.
all wanted a road trip to Baltimore, and we were like, all
They
right,
have
let's
two-
go to Baltimore. Nope, never happened. And that was like 10, 11 years ago.
They
so
do
it's
play
like
the Orioles twice. I believe
it's not
that's
gonna
at home.
happen. But
But they
Oh,
have
well.
two more. They have one more game in Baltimore.
Did one of those games
because-
get canceled?
Yeah, one of the games was rained
That's
out.
Yeah, they do
right.
have one more then.
So yeah, because remember they went there. That was the Pavetta game. The game the night before was rained out.
yeah,
You're right. I
That's
don't
right.
recall it off the top of your head, but
I
you're probably
remember.
right.
I remember because I would have had Pavetta twice that week in my
Fantasy.
in the fantasy
So you
league,
probably are right.
and I didn't, and I only got him once, and I lost, and I was
Well, taking a road
Extremely
trip to
annoying.
watch it. I roasted the Phillies tonight pretty good, but the Orioles are
they're brutal. They
they're
are
brutal.
bad. They are about as bad can be.
they have no athleticism and no
Time to,
pitching.
time
No,
to
no,
pull the
that's
plug.
the athleticism. That was the word I was looking for when I was trying to describe some of the things that they were doing in the field. I mean, they weren't committing errors, but they were just not making plays. Like fly balls were going over the outfielders' heads, and ground balls they weren't getting to that they should be getting to, or they would be getting to the ball. And they would end up, when they got to the ball, they'd take 2 or 3 steps before they throw it. So it's not an error, but a good athlete would have just had the ball in one fluid motion and was zipped it to first. Those are the kind of things the Orioles do, and if you have lousy pitching, you don't overcome that. And they've always had lousy pitching, but they always were a real good defensive team, and they had a great bullpen, and they could hit. But now they don't have. They still have a pretty good bullpen, but they can't hit, and they have no starting pitching, and they can't field. So that's the story with the
Brad,
Orioles.
the MLB draft was tonight. Started at 6. Casey Mize, right-handed pitcher out of Auburn, goes first to the Tigers.
Tigers to the Tigers. Very fitting.
Tigers to the Tigers. That's great work, Frank.
That's
Only
connecting the
me.
dots.
that's very
That's
very
Highlights Magazine style right there.
that is very that is very
Philadelphia
very
Phillies.
creative.
Philadelphia Phillies picked 3rd in the draft. They drafted third baseman Alec Boehm. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He's from Wichita State. I don't
Good
know much
program.
about him. I
Good
like
program.
college bats, though, from a philosophy standpoint. I like college.
Oh, it's always a good idea.
I like
listen,
college players.
Yeah, because they're more seasoned. I would agree with you.
Conforto was a college bat. He's a pretty good player. Nola was a college arm. He's an excellent player.
The Yankees are in big trouble tonight. Down 4-2 with 1 out in the 8th inning in Detroit.
The Yankees don't have a first-round pick, Brad.
How do they not have a first-round pick? Did they
I
sign
don't
a free agent
I
last
don't
year?
know how.
Who did they sign as a free agent last year that they don't have a first-round pick? Chapman. They wouldn't have had to. They wouldn't have had to give up a first-round pick.
I'm just busting your chops.
Oh,
It
they
doesn't
would-
matter.
No, they should have. I'm just saying they should have a first-round pick. They wouldn't have lost their first-round pick. They didn't even sign anybody.
Well,
this
unless
year.
SportingNews.com MLB Draft Tracker 2018 is fake news, which I don't think it is. Oh no, here it is. They did. They had the 23rd pick.
Okay.
They picked Anthony Siegler, a catcher from Cartersville, Georgia.
A catcher.
Cartersville High in
Cartersville,
Georgia.
Well, you never have enough good catchers in your organization, I guess. Maybe this guy can actually catch. Oh, did I say that? I shouldn't
Oh!
bash at Gary
Well,
Sanchez.
how many? I mean, you can't DH Gary Sanchez.
No,
anymore
Gary
because of
Sanchez is
The
a-
outfield situation, but
No.
I've brought that up before, and you've laughed at me, and now you're echoing it.
No, I'm making jokes, but Gary Sanchez is not that bad a catcher. He's got a very good arm. He's never going to be Johnny Bench behind home plate. But I think he has been very good out there, except when one certain pitcher's been on the mound, and that's Mr. Chapman. Every time Chapman's out there, there's a wild pitch or a pass ball, and I don't always blame that on Sanchez. I think he gets a bad rap with that, especially when Chapman's out there, because Chapman is all over the place, and if Chapman throws the ball high and you're expecting a slider, and he throws a high fastball, who's going to be able to catch it?
I don't
mean,
know.
is that really his
No.
fault? But it's going to be considered a wild pitch because the ball never hit the ground. So it's going to be considered a pass ball.
Brad, your Yankee chat rooms are going to be blowing up. Aaron Judge is 0 for 8 in the doubleheader today with 7 Ks.
He has 7 Ks?
It's not good for your fantasy team. The person you're playing just texted me. And made
What
me
kind of
aware
Oh,
precious metal sombrero would that be?
That's well, that would be the golden one. Well, the first game I know he struck out 3 times. Well, he struck out 4 times in the second game.
it's the claim.
That's possible, I guess. I mean, he wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't true. Aye. So all that greatness by Glaber in the first game goes to waste. Thanks, Aaron.
It's also Monday.
Yeah, you can't get too worried
So-
about Monday.
Can't worry about it.
I do have a pitcher going tonight. I don't even know his name.
It's
Oh,
somebody.
Tropiano.
There we go.
Tropiano. He pitched a real good game against the Yankees. You know, anybody who pitches well against the Yankees,
Yeah, you pick them up.
I end up picking him up because to me, if you can shut down the Yankees, especially if you shut them down at Yankee Stadium,
Do you even have National League players on your team?
yeah, I got lots of National League players.
Do you? I thought you were like.
That's not a fair comment. Justin Turner, Jake Lamb,
Yeah, I guess you do got some American League players.
they're National League players.
Yeah, you got Matt Kemp.
Matt Kemp. I got the guy that you traded me, Peralta, and I traded a National League player for him. 4.
It's true.
I have a few. I mean, I just don't know the National League as well as I know the American League, so it's a little harder for me to trust a National League player when I don't see them as much. But Lance Lynn, I mean, I have him this year, but he was a National League player last year.
So are the Yankees going to bench Aaron Judge?
Of course
This Yankee Nation is they're going to be displeased. That's a bad game.
They'll be crying about it, no doubt, because that is what they do. They're ridiculous, but no, they might bench him for tomorrow. They might give him a rest. Playing 2 games in a doubleheader, especially if you play the outfield. I don't know if he DH'd today or not.
The DH.
The DH
Stanton played right in game 1.
Okay,
Whether
so
Judge was DHing, I'm not sure.
Then he must have DH'd then.
He had to have because Hicks was in center. And
Okay, and Frazier was in left the first game because Frazier's played both games today.
Okay.
And they had Frazier, Gardner. I guess Judge is playing right. Wow, 7 strikeouts.
7 strikeouts. Anyway, that'll do it for this edition of Sports Hounds. HUD Radio will be back with you next Monday night.